Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 6 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock. I am Brian Wilson, and I am so glad that you are with us today, Friday, June 21st, or as we like to call it, Friday. Friday. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. We're gonna have two rounds, not one, but two rounds of Free for All Friday, or what we now call Phone Your FARB Friday. We used to call it Free for All Friday, but Dan Mandis, when we left the morning show, he just took that.
He commandeered it.
He did, and he didn't even ask.
He did not.
Not that I'm bitter about it or anything, so we had to come up with another name for it. So it's Phone Your FARB Friday. That'll be at 4:35, and then again at 5:35. And as you know, we do compare the two segments to see who does better. And right now the 5 o'clock hour has been doing pretty strong. So at the 4 o'clock, 4:35, you got to bring your A game. Okay, not that there should be no wagering. It's not a competition, but nonetheless, we do compare, and we make an editorial judgment about who did better. I want to start with a discussion of what's going on with politics. We'll call this our 2024 update, but it's really more about, we're going to start off talking about the debate, which is less than a week away. I'm telling you, the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that this is going to be a very significant debate. Maybe one of the most significant debates we've had. They're always important. And it'd be interesting to see what happens here. But Joe Biden really has a lot on the line. I mean, if he shows up and doesn't completely mess up, there's a chance that he can stick in this thing all the way till the end. But if we see the Joe Biden that we've been seeing lately on the world stage in Italy, at the big LA fundraiser where Obama had to grab him by the sleeve and drag him off. If we see that guy and he's making mistakes, like the one he made the other day when he was trying to talk about who his Secretary of Homeland Security is. Did you catch that one?
My name's Joe Biden. I'm Jill Biden's husband. Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure I'm going to introduce you all the way.
I didn't edit that up. It's I mean, that's his name, I guess. I'm saying I call him Secretary.
You ain't got no gas in it.
And so it does sound like a boat motor or a lawnmower or an old car trying to start up. But, I mean, if that guy shows up, it's all over. It really is all over. You're not going to believe this. I think you should mark this down on the calendar, Chris. Friday, June 21st, a rare occurrence, definitely a rare occurrence, something has happened that I don't think it's ever happened before. I find myself in general agreement with Van Jones. I know. I went, wow. That's the first time I've ever heard him say anything that I sort of agree with. I don't completely agree with him, but I agree with most of what he's saying here. He thinks that this is make or break for Joe Biden.
This is the entire election as far as I'm concerned. The entire world will be watching. If you are a carbon-based life form, you're going to be watching. If you've got a functioning brainstem, you're going to be watching. Because if Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over. If he walks out there and a week later he's lower in the polls, it's panic in the party. But if he goes in there and he can handle himself against Donald Trump, a runaway train, a locomotive, a raging bull, then this guy deserves another shot to be president, because that is tough. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If you can stand toe-to-toe with a runaway train like Donald Trump for an hour and a half, you are fit to be president, period, point blank. This is the whole presidency in a bottle in a week.
I think I don't agree with the thing about standing toe-to-toe, but it is the entire I mean, if he does badly, it's over. They'll have to do something. And, we can all speculate on exactly what that should be. In fact, I may open up the phone lines here in just a bit and just ask you, what do you think, if they're going to replace him, how do you think it all works? I've laid out my theory about how it might happen, and it's just a theory. But we may just do that in a bit. So, if you have some ideas about that, get your thoughts together. We'll go to the phones here in just a bit. By the way, the debate is being handled by CNN, and so NBC MSNBC, Telemundo, Nexstar Cable Network, Newsmax, and Fox News and ABC are all going to simulcast this. I was very surprised. I thought that they might not allow it. So there we go. CNN's competitors to air network. Yeah, that's right. CNN's competitors, including Fox News and ABC, are planning to carry the simulcast of the network's presidential debate. Also, NBC, MSNBC, Telemundo, Nexstar, News Nation, Newsmax, and Script News are all expected to carry the CNN debate. I don't know that I've ever seen that happen before. Presidential debates have been organized by the Commission on Presidential Debates and aired by multiple outlets. The Biden and Trump campaigns agreed to 2 debates outside the commission. June 27th debate will be moderated by CNN anchors Jake Tapper and Dana Bash without a live audience in a network studio in Atlanta. ABC will have the second one on September 10th. My guess is Joe Biden will not be the guy who does that debate. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but we'll see. I mentioned yesterday RFK Jr. has failed to qualify for the CNN debate, but he's going to be outside the studios protesting. It's organizing a protest outside CNN's New York studios on Hudson Yard on Friday. But yeah, they're going to be they're not happy. But I mean, look, he doesn't really have enough votes, and he's not actually on the ballots in that many states. He's got a lot of work to do in that regard. Meanwhile, the former president, President Trump, will be joined by Glenn Youngkin at a Virginia rally after the first debate. Former President Trump expected to hold a rally in Virginia following next week's presidential debate, as his campaign has asserted the Commonwealth could be in play for November. The former president will be joined by Glenn Youngkin, a source confirmed to The Hill, marking the first time the two have made a public appearance together during the 2024 cycle. The Trump event will likely take place near Virginia Beach, a second source said, although the final location has not been determined. CBS News first reported about this on the Virginia rally. Youngkin mostly kept his distance from Trump during his successful 21 campaign for the governor's mansion, and he generated buzz as a potential alternative to Trump in the 2024 presidential contest, but Youngkin opted not to launch a presidential campaign, saying he was committed to serving the remainder of his term as governor, and I admire that. You know, it'd be easy to take an opportunity like that if it were laid before you, and leave behind, but he's going to stick it out. Polling has shown Virginia could be a much closer race than it was in 2020 when Biden carried it by 10 percentage points. A Fox News poll of Virginia registered voters conducted June 1 through 4 showed Biden and Trump tied in the Commonwealth of Virginia at 48% each. I don't know why, when you have that, and Trump has said, you know, I think we can take back Virginia, which it went through a purple stage, and then it sort of went more blue, and now it seems to be coming back more to purple, maybe, you know, a reddish hue of purple. It's coming back. I think the pendulum is swinging in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Youngkin's campaign did very well. And he found that you can go out there and run as a conservative and win. So, you know, if it's tied, why aren't we calling that a battleground state? I think it should be. Some have taken it into that some have not. But I really do think that it is a battleground state. Let's see. The former president, according to NBC News, is focused on Doug Burgum, J.D. Vance, and Marco Rubio as his vice president search enters the home stretch. He's going to announce it and he says not before, but during the convention, and that will be July 15th through the 19th. So we're not that far away. So that's what he's going to do there. As former President Trump zeroes in on a vice presidential running mate, 2 top finalists emerging. This is interesting. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio. In interviews with NBC News, more than a dozen sources wired into the process described an intensifying debate over the strengths and weaknesses of each candidate would bring to the ticket. A third prospect, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, remains in contention, sources say, but doubts about his enthusiasm for the job and concerns about navigating a constitutional hangup that will require Trump or Rubio to move from the state or to establish residency in another state have persisted in ways that could jeopardize his chances. I don't think it does. I disagree with that, by the way. Rubio's already said that if he were to be considered, he would move his residency. Now, see, it's not hard for him to do that. Since I'm pretty certain maintains residences both in Florida and in the District of Columbia, he could move his residency to D.C. Pretty easy. I mean, you can do that with, like one little piece of paper. You sign it and it's done. So I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think that's something that's going to stop him. He's obviously not going to do it unless he's chosen because he represents the state of Florida as a senator. So, but I wouldn't think that's a problem. So, according to NBC News, Burgum, Vance are sort of the top tier candidates. Marco Rubio also being considered. Some people have talked about Youngkin, who we mentioned just a minute ago, as a potential running mate. So again, I think with Trump, he has some ideas. He's probably, zeroing in on a couple of candidates, listening to how they handle themselves on the stage, looking to see, what kind of advantages each would bring as a running mate, and trying to decide exactly what I like Vance a lot. I like Rubio a lot. Burgum, he's okay. I don't have anything against him, but I just don't think he's as interesting a candidate for the sake of that. I think he's sort of dull. Is that me? I mean, do you think so, Chris? I
really haven't followed him closely enough.
Yeah, I think he just comes across as a little boring, and maybe that's what Trump wants because he doesn't want somebody who's going to, take the stage away from him. So there we go. We talked about how Virginia's in play. Joe Biden thinks North Carolina's in play. That's been a reliably red state, and he thinks it's in play. He has 16 offices and hired more than 60 staff members in the state of North Carolina, which is more than he invested in the state in 2020 and more than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. The Biden campaign has spent $5.2 million in the Tar Heel state as of June 19th, an investment that could force former President Donald Trump to spend money in the Republican-leaning state. So far, Trump campaign has not spent a penny in North Carolina. So interesting that they're focusing on North Carolina, Trump focusing on Virginia. And then let's see, we probably, I'll save this story for a little bit later, but this voter access executive order that Biden issued, telling all levers of government to find some way to get people registered, is really concerning to me. That's not what they should be doing. And if they are doing it, you could bet that they're doing it in a way that helps Democrats and doesn't help Republicans at all. So it is a very big concern, and Republicans are trying to get more information about it. And of course, as you might imagine, the Trump folks are not really willing to give too much on that. So there you have that. It is now 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Just a little earlier today, a fatal mass shooting in a small Arkansas community. We'll have the latest on that. The Supreme Court with a monumental gun ruling today and another crime at a downtown Nashville bus station. We'll have those stories at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, that's Jay Harper. He's in the newsroom covering all of the big stories, and that Arkansas thing just sounding sad. So we'll keep tabs on that, as well as all the other news from around the nation and right here in Nashville. And then behind the glass there, pushing all the blinky buttons, is Chris Weber, wearing a very cool icy cap. The icy it's like a Slurpee, but it's better. So, and by the way, I am back up on Super Talk TV.
That's right.
Yes, I'm still bandaged, but the big bandage came off. And in case you missed it, we had to put up a freeze frame yesterday because I had this massive bandage on the side of my head where they came and took a chunk out of my head. Because I have a misspent youth without sunblock. And the dermy doctors got a hold of me and they took out a hunk of my head. So it is not as bad today.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a little bandage on, but
yes, it's okay.
It doesn't
look too terrible. Although I don't mean to alarm you, but you've got a giant mosquito on your head.
No, that's part of the hat.
Oh,
and I have I got my first look today at the stitching that they did, which is beautiful stitching. So it's about, I don't know, what did you say, 4.5 inches long?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
They took a hunk out of me. It doesn't hurt. And they say that, they do this process where they say when you walk out, we got it all. There won't be any more problems with that. You know for sure that they got it. And then they sew you back up. So,
with all that they took out, they should have gotten it all.
Yeah. I'm surprised. And good news is that a lot of it will be covered up with my hair eventually.
Yeah, it's a good thing you had a big enough head anyway. So they took a little bit. It didn't matter.
I got a big old pumpkin head. Yeah. That's right. And they had to shave my head part of it to get at this one part.
Oh, really?
So I've got a really weird looking haircut right now.
Well, what you do is just shave the other side to match.
And everybody think I was doing it on purpose.
Like, that Wilson's cool, man.
Yeah, and because of that scar, he looks like a badass,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they'll say.
I'm a tough guy.
He's a poor guy. They're cutting on his face. I want to mention that we're going to have a big deal. We were just talking about the debate and what a big deal it is. It is a big deal. And we're going to have an event at Hop Springs where you can join us. We'll watch the debate together. Dan, Chris, Matt, and I will be at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. I have been told that my show will be live from there starting at 3 o'clock. I was told, I didn't get asked, but I was told, but that's okay because I'm looking forward to it too. The drive will be there as well. We'll start at 3 o'clock. So if you want to come a little early, hang out with me and we'll get ready for the debate. And then everybody else will join us. Usually it works out. They join us in the 6 o'clock hour, but it'll be a fun deal. And I'm telling you, there's nothing more fun than watching one of these things with people who sort of view the world the same way that you do. I mean, it really is fun. There's sort of a kinship and a brotherhood and a sisterhood there that I just think is great. I always enjoy that when we watch the debates or we watch State of the Union addresses together. Everybody seems to have a really good time. That's in Murfreesboro at Hot Springs. We'll start at 3 and carry on through the evening. All right? So there you go. You don't want to miss that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I got to tell you, I think this debate is going to be really, really something. And my question is, if it goes badly for Joe Biden, I think Van Jones is right. Even Democrats are starting to say, if this doesn't go well for Joe Biden, then it's pretty much over for him. And if they were to go through that process, I'm wondering, how do you think they might make the change? I've laid out my scenario. I'll lay it out again here in just a moment. But if you got a thought about that, I'm going to open up the phone lines today at 615-737-9986. If they get rid of Biden and they decide he's not the guy, and a lot of people think that could happen, what do you think the scenario is? How does it play out? 615-737-9986. I think that if it goes really badly, that they'll make a change, and it looks like I think they'll make the change, and they'll go to him and ask him to step down, and if they can talk him into it, that'll all be before the virtual convention happens, where they have a nominating process that's going to actually be on the phone before the big convention in September. I'm sorry, that's actually in August 19th is when it's going to be. But they have another one before that, which is a virtual convention. That the cover story was they're going to do that in order to get him qualified and get the nomination qualified for the Ohio ballot, which required that he do it sooner than the convention was going to allow it to happen. So they might make the change there. But I want to know, what's your scenario? 615-737-9986. After the news with Jay Harper, we'll get into it. We'll take your ideas. Right now, it is 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's 3:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Plenty of sunshine, 94 degrees, a toasty forecast, and a traffic report are coming up. 10 people have been shot, 2 fatally, following an active shooter incident at a grocery store in Fordyce, Arkansas. That's according to the state police there. The incident occurring at about 11:30 this morning. One law enforcement officer was among those shot and has non-life-threatening injuries. The gunman also has been shot and critically wounded by responding officers. The suspected shooter, who reportedly came into the store firing a shotgun, was critically injured and is in custody. This is still a very much developing story. The Supreme Court, in an 8-1 decision upholding a ban on guns for people under domestic violence restraining orders. This is the court's first Second Amendment case since they expanded gun rights back in 2022. The opinion authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, with Clarence Thomas dissenting. ABC's legal contributor, Kim Whaley, she weighs in on the ruling.
In Justice Thomas's defense, I think he is saying, listen, if we're going to be originalists and go back to our time machine, we should be consistent about it. And I think the majority, and there's other opinions, Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Barrett all wrote separately, they're saying, no, we do actually have to exercise some judgment, even as conservatives. And I think the question moving forward is, how far then is the space between progressives and conservatives when judges start judging? Law is very hard and complicated.
Back here in Nashville, another crime at the downtown WeGo bus station. Police grabbed a burglary suspect there. We hear now from WTN's Ken Weaver.
News 2 says 32-year-old Malachi Davis was arrested after police told him to leave and not come back, but he did go back. Staff saying he jumped a fence out back of the property, then promptly threatened to kill everyone. Police quickly called back and took Davis into custody, and when they searched his home, they say they found a stolen ID from a recent burglary, 2 Sony PlayStations, a MacBook, multiple sets of car keys, a debit card, more than $1,000 in cash, a watch, designer clothing, and a Chromebook. All of this a combined value of more than $45,000. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, first responders went floor to floor to help residents at the assisted living facility Westbrook Towers in Murfreesboro this morning after a laundry room fire sent smoke billowing throughout the building. The fire department there said the blaze was reported at the 7-story building at about 10:30 this morning. According to officials, crews quickly extinguished the fire, which was contained to the laundry room. All of the elderly residents are safe. No injuries were reported following the incident. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather there next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
So how many times have you heard someone describe something as being a gold standard? For this or that. Well, when it comes to finding an investment that protects you from runaway inflation, gold is the gold standard. It's just the way it works. It's a tried and true store of value consistent across generations. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio, but you don't feel you have the knowledge you need to make a smart decision. And it can be overwhelming. I felt that way for sure, but I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold and Coin. The way it works is you make an appointment and then you sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. They'll answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly, you'll learn a lot, and you'll never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. Gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times, and my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. And by the way, if you have some old coins laying around gathering dust, bring them along because you'll be surprised how much they might be worth. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
So let's play a game of what if. Phone lines are open at 615-737-9986. What if the debate goes badly for Biden and Democrats decide we've got to make a change? How do they handle it? Now, how do they go through? What will they do? What's the process that you see unfolding? Let me just give you mine real quick. I think it all starts probably at the end of the month when the Supreme Court finishes its term, and I think Sotomayor will step down. And I think that they might solve one of the problems they might solve is by offering a Supreme Court nomination to Kamala Harris. It's not nothing. It's a pretty big deal to be on the Supreme Court, lifetime appointment and all that. Would she take it? It wouldn't change the balance of the court. It would still be a 6-3 court, but I think that that's a way that they solve the problem of Kamala Harris. Then if they decide that they got to also replace Biden, having somebody who's competent as the number 2 may solve the problem completely. But beyond that, let's say she doesn't want to do that, and then they have to do something radical, put a new nominee up. It won't be Kamala. Then I think they do it at the virtual convention, which will be done before the regular convention, so they can go into the regular convention, which runs August 19th through the 23rd, with whoever it is that they want to introduce to America. And then it'll all be done. So I think that's how it all happens. What do you think? 615-737-9986. Let's start out with John out on the road. John, so how do you think it's going to unfold if that were to happen?
I don't think Biden is going to be able to push through it. His health is too bad, and he's just not going to be able to do it. I have no clue who they're going to put in there, but I'm sure it's going to be rigged somehow.
And so, how does that process unfold in your mind?
If they put Kamala Harris into the Supreme Court, my honest opinion about her, she doesn't have enough common sense to make her way around a Cheerio.
All right. Fair enough then, John. Thank you very much. Nobody is standing by. I want to know what your opinion is. Come on, this is your chance to get on here and spout your knowledge. 615-737-9986. Look, I don't know how you can look at a guy who is in the middle of a press conference with the cameras rolling and can't even remember the name of his Homeland Security Secretary. I mean, honestly, what we have seen in the last few days is a weakened Joe Biden. Now, I covered Joe Biden. I covered him as a senator for a lot of years. I've had encounters with him. I've covered countless hearings with the guy, and I got to tell you, I've never ever seen. He used to be a guy who could, he was a pretty good orator. He could put a word or two together, but what we see now is it's been bad. I don't think he's ever been the same since the aneurysms. And, people don't talk about that, but he's had 2 aneurysms. Rick, out on the road. Oh, now we got a full board. Rick, out on the road. What's your thought here, buddy? Tell me what you think.
Well, I don't think Kamala Harris has got as much brains as a squirrel in the middle of the highway. And I think they're going to end up sticking Michelle and Hillary in there.
Yeah, no, I'm going to tell you right now, Michelle is out. I mean, I believe that with every fiber of my being. I know everybody loves really think that's the secret plan. Hillary, I'm not so sure about, but I am pretty sure about Michelle. She doesn't want it, and she has made it very clear to anybody who would listen when she was at the White House that she hated the experience. And she vowed that, she's never been more happy than to be released from having to be at the White House and be the first lady. She did not enjoy that experience whatsoever. So I think she's definitely doesn't have the fire in her belly. But who knows? The rest of it could be right. Corey, out on the road. I'm sorry, in Murfreesboro. You're in Murfreesboro, you are, Corey. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you. I agree with the position. The Supreme Court would be a very suitable spot for her because the judicial system has shown that you could be really good at something and be really bad at something and be successful or equally successful at it. So I think that's a good spot she can hide. I have a question for you, though. If that does happen and she's asked to come out of the court to run for whatever office, do you think that's a possibility?
Well, maybe. I mean, that might be a possibility. Look, she was on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And she was actually, one of the people who would make a judgment when it comes to the confirmation of a Supreme Court justice. So she knows the process. She is a lawyer. She served as the Attorney General of the state of California. I don't think she's that bright. And you hate to think about her going to the Supreme Court, but I got to say, it really wouldn't change things as long as you have the 6-3 majority. It's not going to change the balance of the court. And I'm just certain I'm pretty certain the Sotomayor is gonna give up the ghost, and because they all looked at what happened when Ruth Bader Ginsburg had to stay in there a little longer, and they ended up Trump got to replace her when she passed away, and then it became a deal where that they lost a seat. It went from a 5-4 to a 6-3 court. So I think they learned their lesson on that, and I think Sotomayor understands that she's pretty much going to have to tender her resignation when the court term is up at the end of this month. It's just a way, to me, it'd be a very neat way to solve your Kamala problem. And by the way, if you get a good vice president, somebody that people look at and go, well, that person, has some competence about them. I would feel okay if something happened to Biden with that person in the number 2 slot. People don't feel that way right now about Kamala Harris. That's the thing. So that's why I think that they need to get her out of the way. And if they get a good, strong number 2, that may be all that they need to do. So because, that would solve a lot of concerns. Well, we'll see. It's just a theory. I don't know this for sure. But it seems like to me that's the way they've set things up. Dave in Hendersonville, if it goes badly for Joe Biden at the debate, and everybody thinks that, well, he's got to go, how do you think it's all going to play out?
I don't. They're going to remove him, but I just don't. I'm like the other caller. I'm not quite sure who they would put out there. I mean, they have no one. They have no one that is worth it. Newsom or Gavin, his record, I mean, come on, how can you stand up against that? And as far as putting Kamala on the Supreme Court, we know what we're going to get there. I don't see how we could possibly, if we could stop that, we need to do that because there's no way she could go on the Supreme Court and be unbiased.
Well, I agree with you, but it doesn't matter if you've got a 6-3 majority. They will never prevail. It just doesn't change the mixture of the court. I don't think there's a dime's worth of difference between the positions that Sotomayor holds and the positions that Kamala would hold. So, I'm not thinking that you're going to really dramatically change. And because the Democrats are in charge of the Senate, and Chuck Schumer can push it through real quick. That confirmation can happen fast. I don't know, it seems like a neat way to tie everything up in a neat little bow so that they can solve their Joe problem. But do you think this guy could make it? If he stands his ground and says, I'm not going to, do you have any confidence that he could make it through his term? I don't at this point.
No, absolutely not. He wouldn't be able to make it do that. And I think that, I think they would probably, if they put anybody up, I think it would probably be Hillary. I think, to me, that would be the only logical decision, that they have. And I know they don't really care for her, and nobody else. Who else do they have?
Yeah, it's got to be a big name. You could have somebody show up at the convention and just give a humdinger of a speech, somebody that you're not thinking about, and that might... might rally the troops. Who knows? That has happened before. Deborah and Antioch. Deborah, good afternoon. You're on with Brian on the Drive.
Good afternoon, Farb.
Hey, so what do you think? What's their plan?
Well, I think the plan from the beginning was to figurehead Joe, declare him incompetent in 6 months, move Kamala to the Supreme Court and make way for Nancy Pelosi. And then when that fell apart, Joe started standing his ground and digging his heels in. So they had to come up with a plan B, and here we are.
Yeah.
I don't think he will live through his next term. And I'm going to say something that a lot of people are going to be mad, but his family should be ashamed
that
they
are
treating him like this in front of the world. And when we have a foreign country sitting with their finger on the nuke button, I need a president in there, Democrat, Republican, I don't care. I need him to be awake.
That's the thing that scares me.
I do not need him to be asleep.
These are dangerous times, Deborah. You're right. These are dangerous times we live in. And I don't think he's up to the task. It's scary. It's frightening, the position that we're in right now with this guy. Appreciate it. I'm going to try to squeeze in one more call real quick. Chris in Mount Juliet, you're up next on the Drive. Chris, what do you say?
So most of what everybody is saying, I typically agree with, but I'm going to give you a little bit of the conspiratorial angle.
All right.
Now, don't laugh, but there's a methodology to the thinking. Democrats, especially extreme leftist liberal types that we're seeing now overpopulate the Democrat Party, are not logic-based thinkers. They are emotional-based thinkers.
Right.
And who do you think is the most emotional-based thinker that is in politics right now?
I would say AOC, maybe.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
AOC is going to be the Democrat nominee.
Oh, all right. That would be something, wouldn't it? All right. Well, that's.
I don't think she's old enough, though, is she?
Well, she got to be 35, I think. Yeah,
is she 35?
I think she could. I could be.
I'll check it out.
Let's check that out. We'll get back to you on that. All right. It's 50 minutes now past the hour, 3 o'clock. Good conversation. More in a moment. Well, it is that time of year. I mean, right now we're sitting at 93 degrees in Nashville. And if your air conditioning is not getting it done and you're in your house sweltering, you need it fixed, what's the number you call? Let's say it together. 775-7833. That's the number to Busy Bee HVAC and Plumbing, and they'll come out, they'll buzz over to your house. They'll get you going. They'll get you running. That's what you want, right? They got some specials right now. If you need repair on your air conditioning service, they're willing to waive the $89 dispatch fee if there's repair work that needs to be done. So that's a good thing. And while they're there, if you want to add some indoor air quality products, you get 10% off. And, you know, if you have an AC unit that, for example, has just hit the end of its life, they don't last forever, and you need a big upgrade or you need to get a new one, you can do a big HVAC project and not pay any interest up to 12 months, no interest, no payment with approved credits up to 12 months. If you have a big plumbing project, you get up to 15 months, same deal with approved credit. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. You got drain video inspection, $99. Water heater flush, $79. $500 off a select tankless water heater, or $500 off an upright S&C water heater. 15% off a whole home drain repipe. A lot of things going on between now and the end of the month, so take action now. And remember, they are your Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, online at busybhvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
I started working in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting, trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
A fatal mass shooting in a small Arkansas community. We'll have the latest on that. The conviction of Donald Trump in the hush money trial seems to have affected his fundraising. We'll tell you how. And we'll have President Biden's reaction to today's Supreme Court gun ruling. Those stories coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. Let's take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrials up 15, S&P down about 8.5, and NASDAQ down 32. So mixed boards today. What's driving the market? You know who will know that? John Maxson over at Beacon Capital Management. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, kind of a flat market. The market's really looking for direction. Probably the biggest story is NVIDIA fell over 3% the second day in a row. That was kind of due for a correction. It's been the darling of the AI sector. S&P was actually up for the third week in a row. It finished the week, the Dow up 1.5, S&P up 0.6, and tech barely eked out a gain, 0.1 in the week, but up 18% on the year. A couple things have happened across the pond. The Swiss government unexpectedly cut rates. That's not necessarily a good sign for their economy. And then PMI fell in Europe. So the Fed's not going to be just watching what's happening here in America. They're going to be watching across the pond and really the global economy. Going to be a lot of Fed speakers next week, along with revised GDP. So it's some important reports that are going to continue to play into rate cuts in the future.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And to learn more about all the things that John and the other good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, why don't you go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. Coming up, we'll be talking to Deborah Fisher, Executive Director of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government, about this weird court hearing with regard to the Covenant Shooters documents. It's all coming up in the next hour right here on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It is 1 minute past 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got some sunshine. We're down to 92 degrees. We topped out at 95 today on Music Row. A full forecast and the latest traffic report are upcoming. A shooting at a grocery store in Fordyce, Arkansas leaves 2 civilians dead, 5 others hurt, a police officer shot, and a suspect critically injured by law enforcement. Eyewitness Janeria Holton says she goes to that area for lunch all the time and can't believe what unfolded.
You know, this is something scary. This is something new, like for all of us, even me. I don't live down here, so when I come to Mad Butcher to get some lunch, I'm coming to get some lunch, not to be worried about our lives. And I felt like the active shooter didn't think about no kids. He didn't think about the people that was around and the genuine people who lost their lives.
Fordyce is about 70 miles south of Little Rock, and in 2020 had a population of about 3,400 people. Former President Trump out fundraising President Biden for the month of May, the second month in a row that he's done that. Trump bringing in $141 million to Biden's $85 million. ABC's Perry Russum, he reports from Washington.
Trump's team says right after Trump was convicted last month, they received tens of millions of dollars in donations. Ahead of the first debate next week, we're getting a look at both men's financial war chests. Overall, President Biden reported $212 million in the bank at the end of May. Trump's team reported $170 million. Biden's team questions how much of that money is going to Trump's legal fees.
Back in D.C., the Supreme Court upholding a ban on guns for people under domestic violence restraining orders. This is the court's first Second Amendment case since they expanded gun rights 2 years ago. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers, she's got the reaction from President Biden.
President Biden praised the Supreme Court's ruling, saying it safeguards, quote, critical protections for survivors of domestic violence and their families. The president saying in a statement, quote, no one who has been abused should have to worry about their abuser getting a gun. The president highlighted his work over his career on gun safety, including the Violence Against Women Act and the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And he once again called on Congress to, quote, take action to stop the epidemic of gun violence.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather, they are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hour number 2 of The Drive now kicking off on this Friday, June 21st. That's right. We get ready for a couple of different rounds of Phone URFARB Friday, 4:35, 5:35. Get your thoughts together for all that. And, it is not really a competition, so no wagering, but we do compare the 2 hours. So, give me your best stuff, 4 o'clock hour, because the 5 o'clock hour has been kicking your butt lately. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it there. Okay, listen, yesterday I read to you a fabulous editorial written by Deborah Fisher, executive director of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government. It was in the Tennessean, and it really has to do with this weird hearing we had the other day regarding the Covenant School documents. As you know, that has been a lawsuit like no other lawsuit I've ever seen. So I asked Deborah to join me here on the line here today to talk further about that. Deborah, thanks for joining us here on The Drive. Greatly appreciate you being with us.
Sure thing. Glad to be here.
I want to go back to the beginning so that people know the whole history of this thing. Of course, the shooting occurred on March 27th of 23. And clearly, a little while later, it became clear that the folks who had the documents weren't going to share them, even though there wasn't going to be a prosecution of the shooter since the shooter was dead. And so they did what you call a FOIA request, and they were turned down. And so then they went to the courts to try to get the FOIA law enforced. It was a weird thing then that happened, in that usually that's a pretty cut and dried process, isn't it?
Yes, usually you file a request and it's or you go to court and try to get it.
And the law actually sort of suggests that the judge ought to do everything that is possible to release such information, correct?
Right. The judge is supposed to interpret the public records law toward fulfilling records to the greatest extent that can happen.
All right. And so then a weird thing happened in that, some people from the church and people from the school and some parents decided that they would try to get into that case and stop it. I guess you would call them interveners. Have you ever seen anything like that happen before in a public information or a FOIA request case?
That was a first to have a third party intervene and start raising other objections to the release of the documents. And I think that's what's caused the case to kind of drag on for so long. Usually it's just the government that has to state the basis for not releasing.
And it's really complicated, the case, and it's dragged on for more than a year now. And the other day, a very strange hearing. As you know, this station has been reporting some stuff from the police documents and from the journals, and the Tennessee Star, which is a litigant in that particular case. We are not, had done that as well. They've written, I think, some 40 stories about the things they've learned from the documents they received because of a leak. And then the judge decided that she's going to have a show cause hearing to try to find out whether or not the Tennessee Star and Michael Patrick Leahy should be found in contempt of court. And again, when they got there, none of that happened. What have you ever seen a hearing like that one in your life?
No, it looked like the judge backtracked after Leahy hired an attorney who kind of explained that it would be, a First Amendment problem to try to prevent the press from publishing something that they gained legally. But she was pretty upset about it. I mean, she immediately filed, she basically ordered him into court to explain why publishing the information from the leaked documents, made him not subject to contempt or some other sanction. So it was a pretty alarming order for those of us who have observed this kind of thing in the past.
So where does it stand now? Because at the end of the day, she sort of, I think you're right. I think she came in hot initially because I think she got riled up by some people. She comes in hot. She's determined to find out, about whether or not Michael Patrick Leahy should be found in contempt. And then she apparently cooler thoughts prevailed over time, and she decided to turn it into something that was sort of like, I guess I would call it sort of a fishing expedition. Went around the room and asked everybody if they thought there was a problem with what had happened.
That's right. And she asked if it made her current court case moot, if they thought that there was an unlawful interference with the proceeding. They talked about, should we get the leaker in here and different things like that. But at the end of the day, she said she was going to take it under advisement, and she said that she still might appoint an attorney to investigate this leak in the publication, and she still might initiate contempt proceedings. So it's not over yet. The status is we're waiting for her to come back after the hearing this week and say what she's going to do. And so she does seem to be considering it still.
Well, so as someone who is the executive director of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government, your whole organization is based upon the idea that whatever goes on in government ought to be more open and transparent to the public. How do you feel about what has happened?
Well, it was really shocking that someone files a public records lawsuit. The government's supposed to say why they didn't release the record. The judge is supposed to decide if that's true or not, if that's legal or not, and then make a call. I've seen cases in which sometimes the government releases the records before the judge issues the opinion, and the judge doesn't seem upset about it. The judge is like, okay, this is off the table now. So I'm really surprised. In this case, the documents were leaked, and I think what is getting missed in all of this is that for the first time in Nashville, we are getting actual information about what police have found. I mean, we have been in the dark for over a year about some of the events leading up to the shooting, some things about the shooter. And so here we have this truthful information finally coming out, and what the judge is doing is looking to put somebody, in jail over it. Yeah. And so that's pretty disturbing because, and you're right, our organization is about transparency in government, not hiding information from the public.
Well, I'm with you 1,000% on that. I loved your editorial. I thought it hit just the right tone there. So some people looked at what happened in that court hearing and walked away with the sense that the judge is looking to get rid of what she considers a turkey of a case. In other words, there's no way that people are going to be, and somebody's going to be upset no matter how she rules. There's really no way to sort of split the baby here. That if she releases the documents, then the school is going to be upset, the parents are going to be upset, and the church is going to be upset. If she doesn't release the documents, then you're going to have a bunch of media organizations who are pretty upset and probably take the case up to a higher court, and where they'll probably get a much safer hearing. So there's no way she is going to please everyone. And did you get the sense that she was looking to unload the case by asking if it was now moot?
I did not think that she was trying to unload the case. She has mentioned in court before where she, didn't think that she was going to be able to make the parents and the school completely happy. Or I think she said, I can't protect you from everything. I can't protect you from the media publishing things. But it's an interesting case because she's taken on issues that really have not been exceptions to the public records law before that are being argued. And she's really, honestly, she's maybe breaking new ground here in terms of exceptions to the state's public records law. I didn't get a sense that she was trying to get out of the case, though.
No, I'm glad. Well, that's interesting. I appreciate that perspective. You were in the room. I was not. All right. So how do you think this whole thing, if you had to guess, how do you think this whole thing is going to get resolved? Well,
she said in court that she was about ready to issue a ruling. She said the ruling was more than 60 pages when she got this call from a TV reporter kind of asking whether Leahy's publication of the leaked documents, might be a problem. So she has a ruling that she could issue, and all the attorneys basically urged her to issue her ruling. So I think she will issue her ruling. However, she might want to tackle she might be, concerned enough about the leak that she might want to tackle it. However, I don't think the attorneys were so concerned about it, even, on both sides. I mean, they were, Metro government maybe was concerned, but, leaks happen all the time. That's how information gets out. The Pentagon Papers is a good example, way back when, that most people know about. So I think what did not happen is she didn't stop the publication. You mentioned the number of stories. Well, after the court hearing, even more information started to come out, and more information has been published. And the Tennessee Star seems to be publishing something every day from the tranche of documents that they've received.
Yeah, they have a load of stuff. There's no doubt about it. Far more than we were able to receive here on this program. Do you think that this was a defensive strategy, a legal strategy on the part of the school and the church? Because, I mean, as you know, we're finding out some very interesting things about what apparently the folks at Vandy Psych knew. We're learning a little bit more that apparently she did have ideations of carrying out a school shooting and thought about killing her father and thoughts of suicide. And there is a mandatory requirement to report when that happens. And it's not very clear that happened. And therefore, by dragging this thing out and keeping these documents tied up for the better part of a year, more than a year, they have gone beyond the statute of limitations for civil cases if somebody wanted to bring one. Do you think this was, at its basis, a defensive legal strategy? Or was it really just the parents saying, we think this will be painful and we don't really want to see this stuff released?
I think from the parent standpoint, they just thought it would be painful, and at least that seems to be, what they have said in court, and I don't have any reason to think that it really went beyond that. In terms of Vanderbilt psychiatric and, now these documents that police have gotten on her medical treatment there are notes that she, basically said multiple times she wanted to carry out a school shooting. So the people who would sue would probably be the parents or the school against Vanderbilt Psychiatric. So it's hard to see where they might have.
Yeah,
it's hard. But I don't know. I mean, the judge has all the records, so she knows what's in them. Police have all the records, so they know what's in them. And I'm not sure why they would want to keep that under wraps. But I think that's probably the most significant thing that's come out in the records so far.
I agree. Well, Deborah, it's good to talk to you. I'm hope keep you on my speed dial so that we may talk again as this thing goes forward. Thank you for joining us here on The Drive.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right. 20 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
A random stabbing of a man at a Nashville gas station. And if you've got a Toyota SUV, you'll want to stay tuned for our story. And we'll also have today's closing money news. That's all at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes now past the hour. Thank you, Jay Harper. Listen, I want to remind you that at 4:35, it'll be an exciting round of Phone Your Farb Friday. What's on your mind? What's bugging you? We want to hear about it, and so get your thoughts together. I am looking forward to this. It's going to be quite a scene, I think, in Wilson County. I think it starts at 8:30 in Wilson County. There are a bunch of landowners and residents who are not happy about a developmental plan that is put forward by Ross Perot Jr. They want to take I think it's 1,300 acres and turn it into a massive warehouse sort of space with 1.3 million square feet to handle businesses who want to operate out of Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee is a place where a lot of people look to put their facilities because it's kind of in the middle of the country, really, when you look at population centers, and it's a good place for people to operate warehouses out of and trucking operations. So I can understand why they would like to do that. But the landowners out here, the farmers and the residents who live in sort of this very bucolic, very, very beautiful farmland in Wilson County are not happy about it. And so they are expecting that about 30 of these people will get on their tractors, 30 tractors with signs like protect our farmland and no farms, no food. And they're going to drive from Wilson County, from wherever they are, up to the Ag Center. And then at about 8:30, they're going to be led up to the Wilson County Courthouse. And I guess there's going to be a tractorcade. A bunch of John Deere and other tractors. They're all going to be up there circling the courthouse while they're doing this planning and zoning meeting. So it could be interesting to see how that all works out. I'm going to go. I mean, I'm interested to see what kind of protest really develops there. I found a story about it in the Tennessean. I've actually ended up on somebody's email list, so I know all about it. Conceptual plans from the Hillwood Company, which is Ross Perot Jr.'s operation, have shown 10.35 million square feet of industrial-style office, warehousing, and light manufacturing space that would be part of the approximately 1,380-acre proposal. It's off Interstate 40 near Linwood Road exit in eastern Wilson County. The tractor parades will start at the James E. Ward Agricultural Center and will make its way down to the square. So that's going to be really quite something. Be interesting to see how that all will all develop. Okay, it is now 28 minutes now past the hour. Again, reminder that coming up, we're going to have the Phone Your Farb Friday. The number is 615-737-9986. In case you do letters better than you do numbers, which I do. I'm not good with numbers, but I'm good with letters. That's 615-737-WWTN.
Problem with that is that you got to look real close. The letters are really small on there.
I know. Yeah, that's
which
true.
one's W?
Especially on my cell phone. It's not big at all. But this is where you get something off your chest. Whatever it is that's bugging you, maybe you've heard something. I mean, I can't imagine, but I mean, maybe you heard something I said. You said that was about the boneheadedest thing I've ever seen. So. I can't believe you said that, Wilson. Well, that's okay. We'll have a conversation about it, all right? So, again, that's coming up in a few minutes. And, again, we do this every Friday, 4:35 and 5:35. And I don't mean to disparage people who called in the 4:30 hour last time, but you know what happened? They weren't very good. I mean, I'm sorry. The 5:30 people just trounced them.
Yeah, 4:30 was a little lacking.
And so, we need you to up your game a little bit. And bring your best stuff, all right? We want you to be concise. We want you to be cogent. We want you to be coherent. We want you to be. I mean, if you're good at this. If you're not, don't try it because it really never works. If maybe you think you're good, maybe you better ask somebody. But some people can be comedic.
Yeah, if there's any doubt, you're probably
If there's any
not
doubt,
funny.
leave that out.
Yeah.
Just, play it straight. But we'll do that in just a few moments. Now it's time for the news at 4:30.
Good afternoon. It is 4:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've still got plenty of sun. We topped out at 95 degrees here on Music Row. We're at 92 now. We'll get a full forecast and a traffic report here in a few minutes. Police are hoping to identify a man accused of stabbing another man in the head and neck area last night while he was just getting gasoline. Metro Police report the 29-year-old victim was approached from behind and stabbed for no reason at an Exxon station on Smith Springs Road. The victim was able to fight off the suspect and receive serious injuries, but thankfully not life-threatening. He was transported to a hospital. He's expected to be okay. The suspect, though, still at large. Toyota, they're recalling 145,000 SUVs because of a possible airbag problem. Toyota said the curtain shield airbag on the driver's side of some 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander as well as Lexus TX vehicles may not deploy the way they're supposed to during crashes if the driver's side windows roll down for some reason. The automaker, they're trying to come up with a remedy. They said customers will be notified about all this by the middle of August. We now turn to today's closing money news. Here's Daria Albinger.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Stocks drifted to a quiet close to a holiday-shortened week. The Dow was up 16 points. The Nasdaq fell 32, and the S&P closed down 9. NVIDIA stock continued to cool from its recent run, with the chip maker heading for its first losing week out of the last 9. Sales of previously occupied homes fell in May for the third month in a row, down 0.7% as rising mortgage rates and the record high prices continue to discourage many prospective buyers. Cybersecurity firm Kaspersky pushing back after the Commerce Department banned the use of its software in the U.S. The government says the Moscow-based company's Russian connections mean it poses an undue or unacceptable risk to national security or safety. Kaspersky's CEO, who is Russian, says the decision would not affect its ability to sell or promote its products and training in the U.S.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather. They're next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
All right, I want you to let the team at Restoration Wellness help you choose your goals when it comes to weight loss. They are the leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. If you are interested in this, you want to find out more about Restoration Wellness and Med Spa, why don't you give them a call at 615-470-8124 or visit their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, my friends over there who run the place, Carly and Jamie, man, they're just a great couple. They will take great care of you feel like you're part of the family. You can be a part of the 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program. Weight loss can increase your energy level, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. These plans are customized to your individual needs. They look at your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals, and they come up with a plan that will work for you. And it has worked for me, and it has worked for Cabana Wife. It will work for you too, I'm sure. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn all about the newest technology in weight loss management. Just go to restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
"38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock, and you know what time it is? It's time for another exciting edition of Phone Your FARB Friday. You know the number, 615-737-9986. That's 615-737-WWTN. This is an opportunity for you to get on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself if you have something to say. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you got a burr in your saddle. Maybe you have a bug in a place where, well, they'd be June bugs at this point. June bug in a place where you don't really want a June bug. So just give us a call and bring your best stuff. You know, I don't want anybody to think I was dissing on you when I talked about the 4 o'clock hour. But I mean, you know, honestly, the 5 o'clock hour has been bringing their A game. 615-737-9986. While I'm waiting on those calls to go in, let me make a correction before you call, and some of you are going to call and wear me out over this. I misread the story. I actually got something on my phone. It's how I found out about this tractorcade. I thought it was Monday. It happened today. It happened this morning. So, you know, I was talking about I want to go. Too late. I missed it. But it did happen this morning. and apparently about 40 tractors were down there during the zoning and planning meeting on this whole big project out there. Again, my apologies for the error. I just read it wrong. All right, 615-737, got some phone lines open. We love first-time callers. You know, you can't lurk forever. You got to be a part. You have to interact in this program, 615-737-9986. Let me start off, if I could, with Brad in Shelbyville. Hello, Brad. You're on with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Brad?
Hi, Brian. Yeah, I drive every day from Shelbyville to Nashville, which is an hour drive both ways most of the time. And the traffic's terrible, but we have lanes set for like big trucks to right 2 lanes. But yet they drive in the 3rd lane, 4th lane, and yet our law enforcement doesn't enforce it. So it doesn't help the traffic any at all when we're backed up, because there'll be plenty of space in front of the trucks, but nobody can get around them.
So, I mean, I'm not absolutely sure. I mean, I know it's sort of the courtesy of the road is to big trucks, pull over to the slower lanes. But is that actually a law? I don't know.
It says trucks use right 2 lanes. I mean,
no,
that's what the signs say.
Yeah, well, I do understand that. Sometimes it is irritating because those big trucks, they can really bog things down. I use big trucks to my advantage because they usually, they probably hate me for saying this, they usually they leave a lot of following distance of the vehicles. It takes longer for them to shut it down, right? So they leave a little more following distance, and that gives me a chance to zip right in front of them, They don't like it when you do that, but nonetheless, I don't know. But I think truck drivers, you got something to say about that? You want to answer back? 615-737-9986. Ben in Nashville. Hello, Ben. You're up with Brian on the drive. What do you say, Ben?
Hello, Mr. Brian. I'm listening, first-time caller. But I wanted to pose the thought that if Bobby Kennedy was to take the place of Biden instead of, if he takes the debate, I think he could get by with running as a moderate Democrat. And
you're talking about RFK Jr.?
Yes. They've got to talk him into doing it, but I mean, he carries 15% of the independent voters, and if he could, carry the Democrat Party as being not Trump.
Yeah, I don't think the Democrats like him all that much.
I think that would make strange bedfellows, but stranger things have happened.
All right. Thank you for your thought there, Ben. Appreciate it. How about Brian in Nashville? Brian, first question is, how do you spell that name? Do you spell it with an I or a Y?
Y.
Oh, well, I'm sorry that you've chosen the wrong way. You really should talk to your parents about that. But thanks for calling anyway. What's up? What's on your mind?
Hey, for the replacement of Biden and Harris, I think they're going to go with somebody proven, like a governor of Illinois or Pennsylvania, or maybe 2 governors. That way they can say they got somebody in there with some experience.
Yeah, and if that's not a bad idea. There are no big names that jump up. One of the things that, and I don't think it's just because I'm on the right side of the equation, and I'm more familiar with the personalities on the right side of the equation. I think that on the Republican side, we've got a great number of people who could actually be very strong presidential candidates. And the Democrats, nobody leaps out at me as being, the next great thing, the one to watch. I just don't see that. And I think we have a blessings of riches when it comes to that. And I look at them and I say, man, I can't think of anybody on their side of the equation that they could point to as the up-and-comer, the person to watch. Maybe they are, but I haven't noticed what they are. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. John in Bethpage, you're up next on the drive. John, what's on your mind?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
This illegal immigration stuff, man, I was kind of wondering, way back yonder, when, we come from Europe or whatever, come over here to the United States, the Indians is here. I know, what's the difference in the Indians owning this land, and you got illegal aliens coming over. Now, I don't agree with it. Don't get me wrong, illegal immigration. But what's your point on that? I know politics didn't exist back then that we know of. I'm sure it did, but what's your thought on that?
I haven't given it any thought. What's your larger point about all of it?
No, I just wondering, man. I thought, I was sitting there thinking, I thought, well, back in, I mean, Europeans and
we came in and took it away from the Indians. Now, do you think the immigrants are coming in to take it away from us? Right?
Man, I think so. To be honest with you, I just thought about it and I thought, dang, history repeats itself. I mean, that's all I would always heard.
Well, the thing about it is that the Indians weren't standing there waving us in, saying, "Come on, bring everybody over from Europe." But that's what's happening with in this particular case. They're getting waved in by the Democrats.
Look at it. You learn in school, maybe kindergarten, first grade, whatever it is. The Indians help us live.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
And then the next year, they're killing us, or we're killing Indians.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I just brought it up. I just gave it thought. Well,
that's an interesting thought, John. I appreciate you bringing it forward. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Lindsay in Pleasant Shade. Hello, Lindsay. You're up on the drive. What's on your mind today, Lindsay?
Hey, thanks, Brian. I would like to tell that last caller that Pocahontas benefited a great deal from the guys that came over.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. We have always been for the other masses legally. Why can't they get that, Brian? Legally.
Yeah. I don't understand. Is that what's on your mind today?
Well, among other things, I have met you at 3 parties, sir, and you have yet to know who in the world I am.
Well, then
are you going to be out next time?
Are you going to come to the big debate party?
I am.
All right.
I'm the fool that always says your studio looks just like my dad's. He has a bunch of guitars.
Well, step up and say hello, Lindsay. I'd love to say hello to you. Cabana Wife's going to be there as well. She's going to be working nearby that day, and she's going to come over and spend some time. It's going to be a fun event, and I think everybody's going to have a good time. I think everybody wants to come to and be with fellow conservatives during this. It'll be fun to have people together. I want to get to Jonathan in Nashville. Hello, Jonathan. You're up next on the drive. What do you say, Jonathan?
Hey, Brian. How you doing, man? Beautiful day here in Nashville.
Yeah, it's a hot day.
Yeah, it's very hot. Hey, I've got a few spurs in my saddle, but I'm not going to get into all that. One thing I do want to throw out there, and I hope all the listeners understand what I'm talking about, no matter, even if you do not feel that there was any fraud in the 2020 election, and even if you do not feel that there's a great potential for fraud to take place in this upcoming election, I think we should all be concerned about, and we should all, from all sides of the aisle, understand that we need to have people in place to protect protect against fraud in this upcoming election.
What
I'm saying is we need people from the community to step up and be volunteers to be overseers and counters and so forth.
I absolutely agree. I think you're right. Look, I mean, what's always interesting to me is that when we say, well, we're just looking to make sure that elections are free and fair, and that nobody takes advantage of the system, and that's always been the Republican position. That's always been the conservative position, and the Democrats, they get all upset about trying to have a fair election. Oh, you're trying to keep people from voting. No, it's not. It's not voter suppression to make sure that it's done fairly and that the people who are coming to the polls are properly registered to vote. There's nothing the suppression about that. I think they squeal and holler because I think, they've been doing some stuff and been getting away from it a long time, and they don't like it when we start raising hell about it. I think, honestly, there have been some things that have come out, and the thing I want to say, everybody says, "Well, you're an election denier." No, what I am is somebody who understands the process, and I'll tell you something. The way the system is designed, it's easy to cheat and very hard to detect it. Very hard to detect it, and very hard to do anything if you think that there's fraud, it's almost impossible to prove it in the time that you have between the day of the election and the day that the election must be certified. It's a short window. These are complex things that take time to go in and prove, and we never have enough time. That's just one of the disadvantages of the way the system is set up, and I think there are people who do take advantage of it. I do. I absolutely do. I would be very interested to know what our plan is for watching the voting ballots in Philadelphia. That's the one I think is going to be the one we should be watching very closely. I got time for one more. Johnny and Dixon. Hello, Johnny. You're on with Brian. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian. I had a comment about Biden being at Camp David for 7 days. I think he's got a secret hyperbaric chamber there he sleeps in for about 5 days out of the week while he's getting pumped full of juice so he can make it 90 minutes through the debate.
Yep. Listen, I would not be surprised. I was actually, it's funny you should mention the hyperbaric chamber, because that's an interesting idea. I actually thought about that the other day. Is that one of the things that they do, put you in the hyperbaric, just juice you up with so much oxygen, you know? I've gone through one of those treatments, and I'll tell you, it really does. It really does make you feel like almost, it really brings you alive. Getting your body infused with oxygen at pressure. That's pretty interesting the way that works. All right, listen, thank you. Good. I think that's a good round. I think the 4 o'clock people did just fine. So the 5 o'clock people, the bar has been set very high. It's 51 minutes now past the hour. Do not miss this killer offer from Genesis Diamonds. 5 years, 0% interest financing. That's right, 5 years, 0% interest. Not just on engagement rings, also on earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstones, jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. You buy now, you pay nothing down, spread your payments over 5 years with 0% interest. Now, that $5,000 gift comes out to about $85 a month. That luxury pre-owned Rolex Submariner, Datejust, or Explorer starts at only $150 a month. It's an insane offer, really, from the jeweler that's always finding ways to bring you more value. All GIA certified diamonds are included in this: the rounds, the princess cuts, ovals, pear shapes, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Whether you would get a $5,000 diamond or a $50,000 diamond, you can spread your payments over 5 years, 0 interest with approved credit. Lab-grown diamonds also included, and you'll get the Genesis value on anything, and you can spread the payments over 5 years. Hurry, limited time offer. It ends the end of the month and will not be extended. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Details and more at genesisdiamonds.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, if you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltz Co. are two guys that you need to talk to. Known for exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices, they will build you a new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind, and that is what you get when you deal with the Stoltz Co. folks. It's the Stoltz Co. difference. Pole barns can be used for all kinds of things. Classic tool work barn. You can put your cars there. A garage. You can put your animals there. Make it a real barn. Or you can actually live in one. That's called a barn dominium, and they're very cool. They combine the classic post-barn look with the reliability of the modern materials and techniques that are available today to give you a finished barn that will stand the test of times. They don't scrimp on corner, and they cut corners. They don't scrimp on quality. They believe their customers deserve only the best. So do me a favor, go to their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com. Take a look at some of the things they've done for other people, and then give them a call. 615-622-5992. Stoltz Co. is where quality workmanship and great customer service is affordable. Learn more at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
Good afternoon. It is 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Still plenty of sun. We're down, if you could say that, to 90 degrees. We were at 95 to top things out here earlier. We'll get that forecast and another traffic report here in a bit. An Arkansas grocery store was the scene of the nation's latest mass shooting. The Arkansas Department of Public Safety confirmed it was a lone gunman who opened fire at a small grocery store in Fordyce, Arkansas. That's about 70 miles south of Little Rock. That all happened shortly before noon today. The suspect was shot by responding police, but not before the gunman was able to strike and injure a number of people when he opened fire with a shotgun. The state's public safety secretary, Mike Hager, he confirmed that 3 people have been killed and 8 have been hospitalized.
The injuries to the officers and the suspect are not considered life-threatening. The remaining civilian injuries range from non-life-threatening to extremely critical.
Up on, at the Supreme Court up in D.C., it's an 8-1 ruling. The Supreme Court favoring a federal ban on gun ownership for anyone under a domestic violence restraining order. All the justices, except Justice Clarence Thomas, said it was not a violation of the Second Amendment. Domestic abuse victims groups applauded the decision, but Justice Thomas said he thought it was a step too far. Aiden Johnson, he's director of federal affairs at Gun Owners of America. He told ABC News he's in agreement with Justice Thomas.
Judges often issue mutual restraining orders, which disarms both the victim and the abuser at the same time. And then also these are abused by divorce attorneys as a way to get a one-up or a tactical advantage in a divorce proceeding.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, we were reporting this story all yesterday afternoon, and now we have more details. Clarksville police have released the identity of the victim killed in what they're calling domestic-related shooting inside a Timberline Way home yesterday morning. Police responded to reports of a shooting about 9 o'clock, and upon arrival, they immediately made entry into the home and found 2 victims. Both had sustained gunshot wounds. The first victim now has been identified as a teenage girl, 16-year-old Brianna Harbison. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The second victim, a 16-year-old male, was flown to a Nashville hospital. He's currently in stable condition. Police believe that teen boy is the primary aggressor, and homicide charges are pending against him. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather there next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is, already hour number 3 of the drive. We're just ripping and snorting through the day. We're just getting after it. Glad that you're with us. Still a very steamy 93 degrees outside, so take it easy. Make sure you get home safely. Don't overexert yourself. Drink a lot of water. And also do not stick sharp things in your eyes. As long as we're giving you, pretty
helpful
basic
advice.
Helpful advice. Just don't stick sharp things in your eye, and never stick anything bigger than your elbow in your ear. That's what I've always been told.
That's good advice, I guess. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Say, we're glad you're with you. Sure enough. And at 5:35, we'll do another edition of Phone URFARB Friday. The 4 o'clock people pretty strong today. I don't know if the 5 o'clock people are going to be able to top that. The bar is set very high. So, we'll have to see how that goes. Chris and I get to make the judgment. It isn't really a competition, so no wagering. I told you that the tractors were going to be down at the Wilson County Courthouse today, downtown in Lebanon, because the tractors were very upset because the Planning Commission was considering a request to build a huge industrial park out in this beautiful farmland that they have here in Wilson County. And a lot of people in eastern Wilson County were not happy about it. There was a tractorcade, and then there was a planning commission meeting, and here's what happened. The planning commissioners recommended denial on the project for request connected to the huge industrial park development, according to the Tennessean. After residents staged a tractor parade protest and showed up in force to speak against the measure during their meeting. See, now, this is what I love about the system. If you show up and you let your voice be known, you can have a say in the decisions of government. The planning commissioners are very interested in knowing what the local people feel and what they think. So when you show up and make noise and stand your ground and say, I don't like this at all, government pays attention some of the time, most of the time. Texas-based Hillwood Company tied to Ross Perot's family, this is Ross Perot Jr., can still seek approval for the project by appealing to the full Wilson County Commission within 10 days. But I got to tell you, if you send the tractors down there again, the Wilson County Commission will not go for it. They got to run for re-election, right? Hillwood representatives did not comment on future plans or whether they intended to move forward on Friday. Planning Commission's first vote was 8-2 to recommend a denial of land use plan amendment for the area referred to as part of the Tucker's Crossroad community. I've been out there driving around in that part of the world. It's beautiful land, beautiful farmland. And everywhere you go, you'd see the signs. Say no to the industrial complex. Say no to the warehouse developments. It's all kinds of signs everywhere you went. It's a big deal, though. It was just 10.35 million square feet is what the proposal was, about 1,380 acres. So they voted unanimously against a rezone request after more than 3 hours of debate that included about 40 speakers during the public comments portion of the meeting. Roughly 30 landowners near the area of the development went to the Wilson County Courthouse on tractors to protest in a protest convoy. We got ourselves a convoy, breaker 19. Bring that old John Deere up here, brother. I'll put you in the basket there. You know what? I don't really all those other things they used to say. Yeah. So anyway, it will be interesting to see whether they will appeal it. And whether they'll have a better chance with the full commission, but I don't think they will, just my sense of it. I know how passionate I am. In fact, this morning I was having coffee, and I talked to somebody who was very concerned about this. So I think universally about 95% of the people who live out there have said that they don't. In fact, I don't think there's anybody that lives out there who is in favor of this project. Let's talk about, as long as we're talking about decisions, here's a decision from the highest court of the land. Supreme Court on Friday upheld a federal law that prohibits people subjected to domestic violence restraining orders from having firearms, taking a step back from its recent endorsement of a broad right to possess a gun. 8-1. The court ruled in favor of the Biden administration, which was defending the law, one of several federal gun restrictions currently facing legal challenges. The ruling indicates that some longstanding gun laws are likely to survive, despite the court's 2022 decision that expanded gun rights by finding for the first time that there is a right to bear arms outside of the home under the Constitution's Second Amendment. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that since the United States was founded, our national firearms law have included provisions preventing individuals who threaten physical harm to others from misusing firearms. The provision at issue in this case fits comfortably within this tradition. In reaching its conclusion, the court did not embrace some of the arguments made by the Biden administration in defense of the law, including that the government can disarm people who are not responsible. Attorney General Merrick Garland welcomed the ruling, saying the law protects victims by keeping firearms out of the hands of dangerous individuals who pose a threat to their intimate partners and children. Though the vote was lopsided, only conservative Justice Clarence Thomas dissenting, the ruling nevertheless exposed divisions among the justices on the issue of gun rights, with 5 justices writing separate concurring opinions explaining their particular view. Those extensive opinions will help shape how the court will approach future gun cases, several of which are currently pending. In the 2022 decision in a case called New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Brune, the so-called Brune decision, said gun restrictions had to be analyzed based on historical understanding of the right to bear arms. As such, the decision raised questions about how many existing gun restrictions that gun rights activists say are not anchored in historical tradition would survive. So there we have it. Again, it was Clarence Thomas, the lone dissenter. It's a striking change for Thomas, who authored the Supreme Court's expanded Second Amendment test 2 years ago, known as Brune. He was the author of that. The test requires that gun regulations fit into the nation's historical tradition, as I mentioned. But Chief John Roberts, joined by 7 of his colleagues, said the domestic abuser gun ban could be compared to a tradition of disarming people who pose a credible safety threat. Okay. I know there's some of you in the Second Amendment world who would feel that this was a wrongly decided opinion. I don't have a problem with this one. I'll be honest with you. I wonder what would have happened, for example, in the Covenant shooting, if action had been taken. Apparently it wasn't. You have a duty to report when you think somebody's going to shoot up a school, and apparently some of the people who cared for Audrey Hale had been told that she had ideations of shooting up a school. And if they'd only, reported that to police, and police had intervened in that case and found out whether she truly had weapons in the house or not. Her parents didn't seem to think she had weapons, but she had a lot of weapons. Some of them, I think, were in the basement. Some of them were in her room. One way or the other, she had a lot of weapons, a lot of weaponry. And if somebody had intervened there'd be 6 people perhaps alive today. What does Pelosi know that the rest of us don't know? This is from wokespy.com. It's not hard to see why some politicians are calling on a ban for lawmakers trading stocks. The problems of senator and House reps getting filthy rich and generating conflicts of interest have been with us a long time, but the loot amassed by former California Democrat and former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi is raising eyebrows afresh. According to a widely followed X account, which tracks suspicious trades, it's called Unusual Whales, Pelosi has made $5 million recently from her stock in the company NVIDIA, which is now the most valuable company in the world, albeit with a much higher price to earnings ratio than second and third place Microsoft and Apple. Company best known for its computer graphics card, powering popular high-resolution video games, but like all such companies, it is branching out in a big way into artificial intelligence. Just to give you some reference, $5 million is 20 times her annual salary. 20 times her annual salary. Look, I don't know what to think about this, because I don't think that because you decide you're going to run for office that you should be denied the opportunity to do what everybody else in America does, which is make investments in the stock market. It is interesting, though, because when you are on Capitol Hill, you do come across information. You do have a lot of stuff that you might hear about. You might learn something. You also, I think, when you are on Capitol Hill, a lot of people will turn their money over to professional money handlers, and they don't do their own trades. In fact, a lot of times the trades are made, and they're informed about it afterwards. So what you do is, in order to show that you have no conflict of interest, you hand it over to somebody who will make handle all your money for you, and the people that you pick are pretty sharp. They're smart enough to do better than the average of the market. There are those people out there who know how to do that. So maybe that's part of it. I think that's the way you got to do it. But I will say, Pelosi's husband seems to be making some great trades, seems to always be on the right side of every trade. Is he just that good, or does he get a little inside information from Nance? I don't know. I don't think it's fair to say you can't trade stocks if you're an elected official. I just don't think that's fair. But I do think you have an obligation to remove yourself from the process and to be transparent about things. And if you're transparent about things and you've pulled a fast one, I got a little information, a little insider information, let me make a good stock trade here. I'll make a whopping lot of money here. It will be transparent. If it's transparent, we'll be able to see that. Again, honestly, it's a tough one. Elected officials shouldn't have to give up the rights that they have. Am I being too soft on people? Everybody thinks that we should be hard on elected officials. They are American citizens, just like you and me. They have chosen to work in a position where they serve the public. It is interesting, though. I mean, it's maddening when you say, here's a guy who goes to Capitol Hill and he's not making that much money. They're making a livable wage. Don't get me wrong; they get paid pretty well for what they get paid, but they also have to, have houses in 2 locations, many of them, unless you want to sleep in your office. And there are those that do that. There are people who sleep in their offices up on Capitol Hill. They have a couch that makes out into a bed, and when they're there, that's where they live. Got a little kitchenette, got a little bathroom, got a shower, and so they in their office, and they just live there. But I mean, if you're going to hold a house in the D.C. area, and then you're also going to have a house in your home district, that's expensive. But it is maddening to see that these people who don't make a tremendous amount of money, it's not shabby money, but it's not a tremendous amount of money, how they always end up finding themselves to be like multimillionaires when they leave. How does that happen? How does that happen? Is it they're handing their over to good people who really know how to manage their money, or are they playing the game? Hard to know. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? You know, many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying taxes when it comes time for retirement. You can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call them at 615-488-9303 or visit their website, askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Search and rescue teams are now heading to New Mexico in the wake of multiple wildfires there. And we've got a house fire that occurred in Bellevue here this afternoon. And Nashville police, they're searching for a suspect in a random stabbing. We'll have those stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, I was looking at those wildfires, Jay Harper, this morning on the phone and looking up maps and stuff where they all are. I have a real interest in that because that's the part of the world that I went to when I was a kid on vacation. My parents would go up to New Mexico, and it's beautiful up there, and all of southwestern Colorado as well. The Durango area, they've been having a lot of them there as well. It's really sad because those fires. You think, well, I used to think that you have a fire in a few years, the land sort of recovers, but it doesn't. It doesn't recover. I mean, there have been places that I've seen that had bad fires, and it's been 10 or 15 years, and they still look bad. It's a sad thing to see. Well, anyway, I want to mention that we're having a big deal on the night of the debate, which is Thursday. I am certain of this. I've double-checked, so I'm not making a mistake. It's Thursday. And I'm going to be doing the drive starting there at 3:00, and then we will watch the debate together. We're not able apparently to carry the debate because we're not a CNN affiliate, and CNN has control of this debate. Although it's interesting, apparently Fox and I think ABC have decided they're going to simulcast the debate that's being handled by CNN. And interesting, I think Newsmax as well. So it'll be out there in a lot of different ways to see it. But wouldn't it be fun to be together with people who see the world like you do? All right? So I'm going to be at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. Come join us. I'll start at 3:00, be joined by the rest of the guys. Dan, Chris, and Matt will all join us as we go through the evening, and then we'll hang out and watch the debate together. And it's going to be the thing everybody – I mean, this is a big debate. I'm going to get into that in the next hour. It is a really, really big deal. In this particular case, it may well determine if Joe Biden is the nominee for the Democrats going forward or not. Many people are saying that if he has a bad night, it's over for Joe. And if that's the case, then you need to be there and you need to be watching. And what better place to be than Murfreesboro at Hop Springs? If you want to find out more about this thing, why don't you go to 997WTN.com. There on our webpage, we have all kinds of information about it. But it's going to be a big deal, and it's going to be a fun deal. And let's pack that place out because I'm telling you, it's going to be a thing. I think maybe even more important, this debate may be even more important than the conventions are at this point. The conventions are fait accompli. You know what's going to happen. There's not a lot of drama. There could be drama in the Democrat convention, depending on how things go, but generally there's not a lot of drama in conventions. There's drama in this because we're all wondering which Joe is going to show up. Is it going to be the Joe Biden who is angry like he was at the State of the Union, or is it going to be the guy who can't pronounce the name of his Secretary of Homeland Security? Yes, I'm going to do it again because I just love this. It's better on the loop. Put it on the loop. You're right. There you go. Put some gas in that thing. But is that the guy that's going to show up? Everybody wants to know. Somebody said something earlier when they called in and said, they'll put him in a hyperbaric chamber. I actually think they might do something like that. He's going to be out there. He's going to be at Camp David for 7 days. It started yesterday. Full 7 days prepping for a debate. Look, I think Donald Trump is prepping as well, maybe in a different way. I think he preps in a different way rather than actually standing there. He just absorbs information, gets people together to talk about the issues, make sure he has a good understanding of what's going on in the world. And I think he preps in a different way. They'll actually run Joe Biden through put him in front of a podium. They'll set up something that's similar to what's going on. They'll have somebody who will play Trump. They'll try to show him exactly what Trump is going to do. They'll play it that way. I don't think Trump is doing that. I think he has confidence. The other thing is, I remember them talking about both of them were going to be sitting, and Trump didn't want to sit. Now, if I'm reading the stories correctly, and maybe the stories are wrong, but the stories that I'm reading suggest that they'll be standing. So that is, Trump can do it because you've seen him do it 100 times where he stands there for 2 hours in front of a crowd and, the crowd is starting to wear out, but he's going strong. What will Biden be able to hold up? Will he tire after standing for so long? That's interesting. That's going to be very interesting. Anyway, find out more about how you can join us. We want you to be there. A good time will be had by all. Dan, Chris, Matt, and I will be at Hot Springs in Murfreesboro starting at 3 o'clock for my show, and the rest of the gang shows up a little bit later. Find details at 997WTN.com. Time for the news at 5:30.
Good afternoon. Yes, it is 5:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We went up a degree. I guess we got a little more sunshine. Some of the cloud cover has dispersed here on Music Row. We're at 91 degrees. We'll get a traffic report and a weather forecast to you here in a few minutes. Federal search and rescue teams are heading to southern New Mexico to look for victims of several large wildfires that have devastated some small towns. Alex Stone has details.
At least 1,400 buildings have been destroyed in the wildfires burning in New Mexico, and at least 2 people are known to be dead. But there are fears there are many more who were unable to escape from the flames as they came into towns. Now, FEMA urban search and rescue teams from Los Angeles County Fire and Orange County, California Fire are heading to New Mexico with human remain detection dogs to search for those who may not have been able to get away from the flames.
Back here in the Nashville area, 4 dogs dying and a firefighter injured in a house fire in Bellevue this afternoon. That's according to the Nashville Fire Department. According to Nashville Fire, the homeowners, they're on vacation, but a house sitter was staying at the house when the fire started in the back porch deck area. One firefighter was transported to a local hospital for treatment of a heat-related injury after he lost a pulse for a few seconds, but thankfully, he regained consciousness in an ambulance while being taken to the hospital. The fire department says the firefighter is now alert and recovering. Again, sadly, the 4 dogs in the home, they weren't able to make it out, and they all died in the fire. And staying here in Nashville, police, they're hoping to identify a guy accused of stabbing another man in the head and neck last night, and all he was doing was just getting gasoline. Metro Police report the 29-year-old victim. He was approached from behind and stabbed for no apparent reason. This happened at an Exxon on Smith Springs Road. The victim, he was able to fight off the suspect, and he did, though, receive some serious injuries. Thankfully, they're not life-threatening. He was taken to a hospital. The suspect, police still looking for this man, described as a black man wearing a blue hoodie and blue jeans. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number 1, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number 2, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The weather is warm now, and if it means it's time to get out and grill, and if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home, right on your very own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with other family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. Don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips. It's a recipe that he's used in his restaurant for over 35 years. And if your grocer is not stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go visit johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
.537, Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair on the air till 7 o'clock tonight on this 21st day of June, and it's still pretty steamy out there, 91 degrees. Yeah, summer came yesterday, but it's been there for a while, actually, that's the way it feels. Yeah, by the way, full moon tonight, the strawberry moon, and if the almost full moon was any indication last night, it's going to be spectacular. But, you know, we need to set that aside right now because you know what time it is? It's time for another round of Phone Your Farb Friday. Here's the number, 615-737-9986. That's 737-WWTN. It's time for you to get up on your soapbox at $100,000, 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries, because it is a family show. Maybe you got to be in your bonnet. Maybe you got to burn your saddle. Maybe you have a June bug in some place you don't want a June bug. Yeah, I was a little late there. But just give us a call and step up on that. Now, I've got to tell you, we do compare the 4:30 hours and the 5:30 hours. It's not a competition, so no wagering, but 4:30 people were pretty good. They were pretty sharp. So the 5:30 people have got a lot to try to accomplish if you're going to beat them. And there's no actually any prize, but it's a matter of pride, isn't it? We got some phone lines open, but we got enough to get started. So if you have something to say, maybe you're a first-time caller. We love first-time callers. Maybe you want to pick a bone with me. Say, I got a bone to pick with you, Wilson. That's okay. We can do that. 615-737-9986. Let me start with Shannon in Mount Pleasant. Shannon, good afternoon. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What do you say, Shannon?
Hey, well, after what we've lived through the last 4 years and what I've seen happen with the Democrats and the lengths they'll go to cheat and lie, how do we even know? And by the way, I'm not crazy, but how do we even know that's going to be Biden out there? I mean, I've seen very sophisticated masks, come out of Hollywood that would convince anyone. And how do we even know what they're doing with him behind the scenes? Could it be an actor?
So you think there's a doppelganger?
I don't doubt it. At this point, I don't doubt it. I really don't.
Well, I mean, that would be something. Wouldn't that be there was a story that one presidential candidate, I don't remember who it was, actually might have had an earpiece built into their jacket, sort of like a receiver, so that somebody could talk to them, and then they took that into the debate so that they could be prompted with good answers. I don't think it was ever proven. But I think it was raised about, so who knows what kind of things will be going on. But, interestingly enough, there'll be no studio audience in this particular one. So, there wouldn't be anybody there who could be feeding him the answers. I guess his people would be backstage. I don't know. One way or the other, it's going to be fun to watch. Let me just ask you a question, Shannon. Which Joe Biden do you think you'll see? The Joe Biden who gets lost coming off the stage? Or the Joe Biden we saw at the State of the Union address?
I really think they're up to something, and he's going to come out and make sense, and that's my worst nightmare, that he's going to come out and say things that actually make sense and not gibberish.
It'll be interesting to see if he rises to the occasion. The difference is with the State of the Union, you just read the teleprompter. You don't have a teleprompter when you're and he has a history of getting a lot of things wrong. So it'll be interesting to see how cogent he is. Thanks for the call, Aaron in Murfreesboro. You're up on the Drive. Same topic. You want to talk about the upcoming debate?
Yeah, Brian, love the show. Something's been bugging me. It's kind of been on my mind, wondering if the Democrats might be up to something as far as, obviously there's a lot going on, but what do you think about the idea that perhaps the Democrats know that Trump is going to wipe the floor with Joe Biden? And they're doing it so that they can create this narrative that here's Trump, look at him beating up on this poor old man.
Yeah.
Because just think of how bad Biden could potentially do. And then not only can they say, oh, he just can't let's just let him go away quietly, get somebody else. And look how mean Donald Trump was. Maybe that's part of their goal here of doing it early is to
make him a sympathetic figure. I don't know that at this point that it will work that way. You might be right. That's something to think about, I suppose. Do you want to beat up on a feeble old man? But I think it's really people look at it not as beating up on a feeble old man, but they just look at it in a way that's sort of like, this is tragic. And you have to go out there and give it all you got. And I don't think anybody would hold Trump accountable for giving it a good go. And I think there are big issues that you have to ask. I think he's got to rattle his cage. I think he has to come out there and rattle the cage and keep him off balance and see if they can, because there have been the last time that they did a debate together, Biden got angry with him. And that anger, I don't think, played well for him. So I hope that Trump is a bit more low-key than he has been in past debates. I hope he's just even-keeled, keeps jabbing him, just wears him down over time. If he's going to be standing for 2 hours, he's going to be tired at the end of that, and he may make a colossal mistake. Thank you for the call, Aaron. Appreciate it. I appreciate you listening. Monica in White House, you're on with Brian on the Drive. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian. A few weeks ago, I was listening to Deface the Nation, and Doug Burgum was on the show, and he really toasted Margaret Brennan, and she could not wait. It was obvious she could not wait for the next commercial break. But the thing about him is that I think he's a lot like Ben Carson. He's gentle and he's calm, and I'm not sure if that is a wonderful, characteristic, but I'm not sure if it's enough for him. But the last thing is something I saw on Instagram. Don't know if it's true because you know how social media is. But there was an article and a photograph that shows Doug Burgum as old friends with Bill Gates. And I just am curious about that. That would be a mark against him in my book.
Haven't heard that one. I'll have to look into that. We did get a good Doug Burgum rumor that we checked out, that if you go to TrumpBurgum.com, you will be redirected to the Donald Trump website. Now, we tried that with Rubio, for example. TrumpRubio.com didn't happen the same way. So
I also tried TrumpVance.com, and that one did not work.
But when you do TrumpBurgum.com, it goes straight to the Donald Trump's website. Isn't that interesting? Makes you wonder, huh? Got a few lines open. 615-737-9986. Gage in Nashville. What's on your mind today, Gage?
Hey, Brian, love the show. First-time caller. You got one.
Thank you.
I was just going to talk about the word conservatism. All of us down here at WTN and all the way up to Tucker Carlson and everybody else uses the word conservatism. Should it not be conservatism? Because, if somebody espouses a liberalism standpoint, they're not a liber, they're a liberal. Yeah. So would that, if we say conservatism, would that not make us conservatives, not conservatives?
Yeah, I've always thought it's interesting that the root word is conserve, out of conservative and conservatism and conservatism. That's hard to say. That's why it's probably hasn't been caught on. It's hard to say. I don't want to have to say that every time. But conserve, it's the same word that you find in conservation. Now, we don't think of Republicans as being conservationists, but honestly, conservation is different than being like a tree hugger. Being a conservationist means that you care about the land and that you care deeply about managing the land and being careful about the way you use our natural resources. And I find that to be something that conservatives can embrace. But I've always wondered why nobody drew that comparison. But conservatism. I don't know. Let's see if it catches on. I don't think it might. I don't think it will because it's just hard. It's an extra syllable. You got to put the correct emphasis on the correct syllable, and that's hard. Dave in Jackson County, you're up next on the drive. Dave, what's on your mind?
I'm just thinking, he had to take a week off in order to get ready for this debate. I think it takes maybe a week to get the dosage right so he can actually perform.
I don't disagree with your thought there. I really don't. Why does it take a whole week? Well, first of all, they got to make sure that he gets a lot of rest. I wouldn't be surprised if they're putting him in a hyperbaric chamber at night to up his oxygen intake, to supercharge his brain. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're giving him a cocktail of things and they're experimenting on how to get the drugs just right. I mean, who knows? There's a lot at stake here, and all I know is the guy who showed up at the State of the Union is not the guy we see every day. What did they do to the guy? And how willing a participant is he in all of that? I don't know. It's weird to see a guy who can mumble and stumble and bumble and can't even remember what the name of his Secretary of Homeland Security is. Can't even say it. And then he shows up and he's completely coherent and cogent. What did you do? How did you make that happen? Rishi in Murfreesboro, you're up next on the drive. What do you say, Rishi?
I have three good vice president pick for Trump who will be really good guiding principle and keep him in line again. The number one is, I would say, Rand Paul Senator from Kentucky, then Tom Cotton from Arkansas, and Mike Huckabee, the previous governor from the state of Arkansas. I mean, these are three brainy people who would really keep Trump in right place and guide him and make sure he does right for the country.
I think Mike Huckabee's a little past his prime on that. I don't know. He's been out of politics for a while now. I think he likes making money, and I know Mike a little. And then you said Tom Cotton. I think that's a brilliant choice. That guy is sharp. He really is. And what was the other one?
The senator from Kentucky, the Rand Paul.
Oh, Rand Paul. Yeah, I mean, I love Rand Paul. I mean, Rand Paul, you know, sometimes you think, well, Rand's a little out there on this, and you find out, no, Rand is not. Rand rarely speaks something he can't back up. And I find myself in agreement with Rand Paul an awful lot. I think those are interesting choices. I don't think, though, that those are in the mix right now, based on what I've been able to see and what I've been able to read. Because they have to vet them, and when they start vetting them, you hear about it. You know, those aren't not names that have been on the list of people who are being vetted. All right, Chris, we have to make a determination. The 4 o'clock hour is very strong, but I think I give slight edge to the 5 o'clock hour today.
I'm going to have to agree. We have to go with 5 yet again.
All right. Well, you're our 5 o'clock people. You're our grand prize winners today.
Tell them what they win, Brian.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't have any budget for stuff like that. We can't even get bumper stickers. I mean, come on. So, listen, thank you for participating. We appreciate it. And we'll do another exciting round of Phone Your Farb Friday next Friday. So you'll have plenty of time to get your thoughts together. 51 minutes now past the hour. Well, D.T. McCall is a company that has been around in Middle Tennessee for a long, long time, more than a century, as a family-owned business. They got 5 locations now, and one of them is probably near you. And here's the thing. This is the company that you want to do business with. If you need furniture, they got it. You need appliances, man, have they got it. And they got the top-of-the-line stuff. Actually, A.J. McCall over there has some very strong feelings about appliances, and he only carries certain products that he thinks are worth carrying. You need a mower for your yard? I got mine at D.T. McCall's. I love my cut cadet mower. I was out there mowing today. You need a safe, whatever it is you need for your home, you're going to find it at D.T. McCall's at one of the 5 convenient locations. You'll be treated honestly, forthrightly. They don't upcharge for delivery, setup, or haul away. They give you an honest price right from the start. So to find out about their 5 convenient locations and all the things that they can do to make your house a home, why don't you go to their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number 1, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number 2, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
I started work in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
Good evening. It's 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got mostly sunny skies. We're at 92 degrees. The latest traffic report, and we've got that real toasty forecast for the weekend. That's coming up here in a little bit. We reported this story yesterday. Now we've got some more details. Clarksville police, they've released the identity of the victim killed in what they have deemed a domestic-related shooting inside a Timberline Way residence yesterday morning. Police responded to reports of a shooting just before 9 a.m., and when they got there, they made entry into the home and found two victims. Both had sustained gunshot wounds. The first victim, now identified as a teenage girl, 16-year-old Brianna Harbison. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The second victim, a 16-year-old boy, he was flown to a Nashville hospital. Currently, he's in stable condition. Police believe that teen boy is the primary aggressor, and homicide charges are pending against him. We now head just west of Tennessee in Arkansas, where a grocery store was the scene of the nation's latest mass shooting. The Arkansas Department of Public Safety confirmed it was a lone gunman who opened fire at a grocery store in Fordyce, Arkansas. That's about 70 miles south of Little Rock. That happened around noon today. The suspect was shot by responding officers, but not before the gunman was able to strike and injure a number of people. The state's Public Safety Secretary, Mike Hager, he confirmed 3 people were killed. 8 have been hospitalized.
The injuries to the officers and the suspect are not considered life-threatening. The remaining civilian injuries range from non-life-threatening to extremely critical.
And finally, the Supreme Court, in an 8-1 decision, upholding a ban on guns for people under domestic violence restraining orders. This is the court's first Second Amendment case since they expanded gun rights 2 years ago. The justices ruling in favor of a 1994 ban on firearms for people under restraining orders to stay away from their spouses or partners. Here's ABC's correspondent Terry Moran, who was at the Supreme Court today.
8 justices agreeing that the Second Amendment can disarm people who are dangerous. Writing for the court, the Chief Justice, John Roberts, saying, when a restraining order contains a finding that an individual poses a credible threat to the physical safety of an intimate partner, that individual may, consistent with the Second Amendment, be banned from possessing firearms while the order is in effect.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather there next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, everybody. It's 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Good evening. On this Friday, June 21st, we are in the last hour of the day and of our broadcast day, and we will then hand it over to Mark Levin coming up at 7 o'clock. He'll continue through the evening. I hope you're having a great Friday. Hope you got plans for a great weekend. Still a little steamy out there. Still 91 degrees, so take it easy. I got out early this morning and did my mowing. My lawn is a patchwork of brown and green.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, they didn't like all of the hot weather that we had.
Yeah, it's going to look worse now that you mowed it.
No, it actually looks a little better. It's funny how, when you have grass that looks bad, it's brown and green, but when you get it all the same height, it doesn't look as bad for some reason.
For a couple of days in the heat.
Yeah, that's right. Then the green grass will grow again, and the dead grass will not grow again, and then you'll have a really ugly thing. But for a moment, it looks pretty good. I got to clean up because I got people coming to the house.
That's right.
I mean, somebody's coming over for a steak.
Well, it better be tidy.
Yeah, we want to put on our best because you're coming over and Johnny B's coming over this weekend. Yeah, it's gonna have a little get together. It'll be fun. I want to talk about 2024 and this sort of out of body experience that I had today with regard to 2024. I don't think it's ever happened before. I don't know that it'll ever happen again. But in a general sense, I find myself in agreement with Van Jones over at CNN. How did that happen? I mean, I'm beginning to wonder if there's something wrong with me when I agree with Van Jones, or maybe there's something wrong with him when he agrees with me. But I think that this upcoming debate that's going to be next Thursday is going to be a humdinger, and I think it's going to be one of the most important political events in a very, very long time.
This is the entire election as far as I'm concerned. The entire world will be watching. If you are a carbon-based life form, you're going to be watching. If you've got a functioning brainstem, you're going to be watching. Because if Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over. If he walks out there and a week later he's lower in the polls, it's panic in the party. But if he goes in there and he can handle himself against Donald Trump, a runaway train, a locomotive, a raging bull, then this guy deserves another shot to be president, because that is tough. You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If you can stand toe-to-toe with a runaway train like Donald Trump for an hour and a half, you are fit to be president, period, point blank. This is the whole presidency in a bottle in a week.
He's right, and I don't agree with some of what he said, but I agree with the gentleman that this is big. This is big for Joe Biden. I mean, if he goes out there and stumbles and fumbles and mumbles his way around, as he sometimes is known to do, he's got a history of that. It never gets old. I love that so much. I mean, if we get that Joe Biden, if he stumbles like that, it's over. But I mean, we saw what we all thought that would happen at the State of the Union. And then this different Joe Biden showed up. He was angry Joe Biden. He was an angry man. He was an angry little elf, he was. And he was screaming at people for 2 hours. He screamed, and it seemed like. And so, if that guy shows up, who knows? And how do they get that? This guy turned into that guy who showed up on the State of the Union. How are they doing that? I mean, what are they doing for the guy? What kind of pharmaceuticals are involved in that? I don't know. But it is a big deal. Now, we're going to be doing our big debate party. I'll just give you that real quick. Over at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, we can watch the presidential debate. We're not able to carry the presidential debate because we are not CNN affiliates, and they have rules about that kind of stuff. But it's going to be shown on CNN. And then Fox is apparently going to simulcast it, as is ABC, planning to carry the simulcast of the presidential debate on June 27th. So, I think I got some others. NBC, MSNBC, Telemundo, Nexstar Cable Network, News Nation, Newsmax, Scripps News, also expected to simulcast the debate with CNN's permission. And there you go. I mean, that's interesting. I wonder, I can't imagine how difficult it must be for Fox to say, well, we'll have to carry the CNN feed. I don't know. It's the deal that you have to do commercials and all. I don't know how the deal works. One way or the other, it's a real feather in CNN's cap that they got this one, and Fox is not happy about it, I'm sure. So it will be seen in other places, and we'll be there at Hot Springs in Murfreesboro. I'll be there at 3, and then everybody else will join us as the evening progresses. We'll hang out. We'll have a good time. We'll watch the debate together. It's a lot of fun to watch something like that with other people who sort of see the world the way you do. So that'll be fun. Come on out and join us. But I agree with Van Jones. It's game over for Biden if he comes out and he does that thing that he does. So we'll watch and see how that happens. Kennedy, RFK Jr. Did not qualify for the CNN debate. And apparently they're going to throw some protests outside the New York offices of CNN. So I don't know why, but they are. Apparently they're irritated about it. We got other stuff going on. Former President Trump is expected to hold a rally in Virginia following next week's presidential debate, as his campaign has asserted the Commonwealth could be in play in November. It's an even tie, according to a Fox News poll taken in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and it's at 48 each. And then there was another poll, a Roanoke College poll, that showed it tied. So Trump looks at Virginia as gettable, and that's interesting. That is the case, if it does flip in red and he takes Virginia and North Carolina early in the day, picks up Georgia, which I think he will, picks up Arizona, picks up Nevada, he doesn't need any of those other states like Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. I always forget about Wisconsin. He doesn't need those states. He will get over without them. So that'll be fun and interesting to watch. Again, now, while the Republicans are excited about their possibilities in Virginia, the Biden people are looking very closely at North Carolina. Campaign to reelect President Joe Biden planning on spending millions in North Carolina, hoping they can flip the state blue. I've got some North Carolina. I can look up some North Carolina numbers for you, but I don't see it happening for them. But Biden's campaign has 16 offices and has more than 60 staff members in the state so far, which is more than he invested in the state in 2020 and more than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. The Biden campaign has spent $5.2 million in the Tar Heel state as of June 19th, an investment that could force former President Donald Trump's campaign to spend money in the Republican-leaning state. So far, Trump's campaign has not spent anything in North Carolina. It's a bigger, bolder effort, says Jeff Guerin, Biden pollster, talking to the Wall Street Journal. There's nothing like it on the Trump side. So they're putting a lot of effort in North Carolina. I'm going to pull up, see if I can get some real quick numbers on North Carolina, see where we are on that, what the polls have been showing. North Carolina, here we go. Trump, on average, leads by 5.3 points. You got an AM Greatness poll that has Trump leading by 8 in the state. An East Carolina University poll has him up by 5. They got a Bloomberg poll and a Cook Political Report poll have him up by 7. That's well outside the margin of error. So it would seem to me, as you look at your 270 to win, I'll do that real quick. God, now, wouldn't you know it? They want to review the security of my system while I'm looking. Okay. So I'm going to give North Carolina to Trump. I'm going to give Georgia to Trump. I think his numbers are looking pretty good there. I'm going to give Arizona and Nevada to Trump. All right, so that puts him at 268, right? And if he picks up Virginia as well, that puts him at 281. It's over. It's toast. That leaves, and it doesn't matter what happens in Minnesota. Doesn't matter what happens in Wisconsin. Doesn't matter what happens in Michigan. Doesn't matter what happens in Pennsylvania. He will have 281 votes. and that will secure some. Virginia would be a huge pickup if he picks up Virginia early in the evening, and then picks up Georgia. It's going to be a really good night for Donald Trump. He's ahead in Nevada and Arizona, not by as much as he is in North Carolina, Virginia, and he's tied in Virginia, but in Georgia, I think he's ahead pretty well too. So, I mean, it's all about the Electoral College at math. And by the way, go to 270 to win. It's fun to play around with the map and see what you think might happen. But they're going to go for North Carolina in a big way. We'll see how that works out for them. In Minnesota, a new poll out has that Minnesota is a dead tie and a dead heat. Biden and Trump evenly both getting 45%. The results within the margin of error and an outlier. Other polls have Biden polling ahead. Let's look up some Pennsylvania numbers. Some Minnesota numbers. I think that'll be fun. See what we got going on. I think he's done pretty good in Minnesota. Minnesota's not one of the battleground states. They don't have it listed as a battle. They have it as a blue state. So I don't have a way to check that. I can say in Michigan it's really tight. Pennsylvania, he's ahead by 2. North Carolina, he's ahead by 5.3. Georgia, he's ahead by 5. So those states are looking pretty good. And you get to Arizona, almost 5. Nevada, he's up by 5.7. So, those states are all looking pretty good. And if they come through early, we don't care. We don't care what happens in Minnesota. We don't care what happens in Michigan, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania. We just don't care. It doesn't matter. That's assuming that, there's no big surprise upset. The president is hiding details about his executive order regarding voter access. The Biden administration is going to great lengths to ensure that no one, the public, lawmakers, or media, ever finds out whether his so-called voter access executive order is actually being used to recruit Democrat voters for the November elections. Well, it is. In this, the first of a 3-part series over on CNS News, examines how the administration is working to keep the public in the dark about federal funds allocated in Biden's executive order and how they're being used. Watchdog groups and election integrity advocates suspect that Biden is using taxpayer money to further his campaign for re-election through the implementation of Executive Order 14019. It requires all federal agencies to use federal funds, which critics have branded Biden bucks, and resources to promote access to voting. The Biden administration has been fiercely resisting virtually all demands for transparency regarding the execution of this order. Even though it promotes the executive order as a benign initiative, the Biden administration is taking a variety of measures in order to cloak its voter registration plan from public scrutiny. In particular, the administration is steadfastly denying Freedom of Information Act requests and battling in court to hide details of how the executive order is being implemented. Administration has even invoked presidential privilege on at least 2 occasions, one involving a public records lawsuit by a watchdog organization. It's not right. Because what they're doing. They are getting people signed up to vote, but they're not doing it even-handedly. And there's been some conference calls where there've been transcripts have been available, and we know who they were talking to, and it wasn't even-handed at all. They are hiding, and they're, once again, why are we surprised? They are taking the levers of government and they're using them to their political advantage. And it's something they should not do, but they do it all the time. Executive power being used to change the outcome of this election. They're cheating in open, and they're claiming presidential authority and privilege to keep us from understanding more about what they're doing. We know what they're doing. 21 past the hour now. The same company you've trusted for 30 years in your crawl space is now offering mold treatments to keep mold out of your crawl space. You don't want that. $500 off for any mold growth solution that is offered by USS now through June 30th. The most trusted, most experienced crawl space repair company in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky is now working on mold. If you have mold in your crawl space, it's not good. You need to turn your crawl space into a healthy space with USS's 3-step RTE process. You remove it, you treat it, you encapsulate it. That makes sure that it doesn't come back. You can't just remove the growth or it'll come right back and you haven't solved the problem. You got to get to the root of the problem and take steps to prevent mold from returning, and the RTE system does just that. Don't wait. Humidity is rising. Call now. Get $500 off the USS Mold Treatment RTE solution. And listen, they do other things, of course, foundation issues, sunken concrete, whatever you got, waterproofing needs. Visit USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Or call this number, 615-488-7855.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Another mass shooting, this time in Arkansas, and we'll hear from a witness. And we'll have today's closing money news. That's all coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here's a couple of more polls that just came in a short time ago and looks at the situation in Arizona, which is a battleground state. This is looking good. I'm going to share some numbers here. Bear with me because I think you're going to find the same. The Fox News poll, I think, yesterday, which showed that Biden was leading in the general election by 2. I think it's an outlier. I really do. I don't think that reflects reality. It could. I mean, there could have been a slight change. They seem to see a shift among the independents in their polling data, which could be, but I don't know. I don't see it replicated anywhere else. In Arizona, Trump versus Biden, Trump wins by 6. In Arizona, in a 5-way, Trump versus Biden versus Kennedy versus West versus Stein, Trump would win by 10, according to American Greatness NSOR polling. By the way, you may wonder, this is also very good news for Carrie Lake. She's been trailing in most of the other polls, but in this particular poll, she is only 1 point behind Ruben Gallego. And so maybe that has tightened up out there. Here's another one that just blows my mind. Now, again, this seems a little too optimistic for me, and I don't know why. I know the folks at Rasmussen Reports, and honestly, I found them to be pretty good. They have the general election. Are you ready for this? This is astonishing. If this is true, it's amazing. I'm not sure that it's right, but I'll share it with you anyway. General election, Trump versus Biden. They have Trump winning by 9. In the election. If it's Trump versus Biden versus Kennedy versus West versus Stein, they have Trump winning the election by 10. That's a general election number. If that gets replicated in other polls, certainly wasn't replicated in yesterday's Fox News poll, but that would be something. This, I don't know. That seems a little too optimistic to me. I don't feel like that is a reference to the truth. I don't think it comports with the other things that I've seen. But it's interesting, and there's something maybe going on out there. Missouri will be a Republican state. Trump will win by 13, says Hill Emerson. In a 5-way, he will win by 15. Hawley is doing very well in his re-election effort. He's up by 9, so that's good news there in the show me state. So just show me. I'll tell you something that I think is very interesting is this presidential plan by the former president, Donald Trump's plan to cut taxes on tips. He'll do very well in Nevada with that strategy, I think, quite well, where a lot of service industry people who rely on tips would love to be able to bring home their tip money and not have to pay taxes on it. Ted Cruz thinks this is a great idea, and I think he's right.
Whether you're a waiter or waitress, whether you're a bellhop or bartender, whether you're a barber or hairstylist, whether you're a taxi cab driver or Uber driver, there are a lot of folks who are working incredibly hard. On average, tipped workers make about $6,000 in a given year from tips. Right now, they have very onerous record-keeping requirements that doesn't make a lot of sense. I think this is a manifestation of how today's Republican Party has changed.
Well, I think it's a great idea. And, it's interesting if you ask people, what do you think about the idea of not taxing tips? It's interesting. If you just ask them that question generically without telling you whose idea it is, 40% of Democrats like the idea and 46% of Republicans like the idea. If you tell them that it's Donald Trump's idea, 71% of Republicans think that's a great idea, and a minus 10, it goes down to a minus 10 of Democrats who think it's a good idea. So, the having a name associated with something does have an impact. Isn't it interesting how it changes when that happens? 6:30 now, time for the news with Jay Harper.
Good evening. It is 6:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sun and 90 degrees, a full forecast and traffic in just a few minutes. A mass shooting at an Arkansas grocery store has sadly left 3 people dead and 8 others seriously injured. The gunman and 2 responding police officers were also wounded. ABC's Pierre Thomas has details from a woman who was on the scene of the shooting.
Amaya Doherty was in a car outside the store when the gunshots rang out.
I heard like boom, boom, and then I looked and I thought it was fireworks, and I looked out like to my left and I seen a man with his groceries with some khaki shorts on, and he just dropped back. And then I seen a man, he had, I think it was an AK, he had rounds and he was just shooting, and I locked the door and I got real low.
Police say a lone gunman was involved but declined to say what sparked the shooting.
That, of course, is still a very much developing story. Let's turn now to the day's closing money news with Daria Albinger.
From ABC News, Wall Street now stocks drifted to a quiet close to a holiday-shortened week. The Dow was up 16 points. The Nasdaq fell 32 and the S&P closed down 9. Nvidia stock continued to cool from its recent run, with the chip maker heading for its first losing week out of the last 9. Sales of previously occupied homes fell in May for the 3rd month in a row, down 0.7% as rising mortgage rates and the record high prices continue to discourage many prospective buyers. Cybersecurity firm Kaspersky pushing back after the Commerce Department banned the use of its software in the U.S. The government says the Moscow-based company's Russian connections mean it poses an undue or unacceptable risk to national security or safety. Kaspersky's CEO, who is Russian, says the decision would not affect its ability to sell or promote its products and training in the U.S.
That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather for you next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Listen, if you're starting to think about back to school and sports physicals for your kiddos, Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. Scheduling an international vacation or a mission trip, Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all other international immunization protocols. And because they will see you the same or the next day, and how important is that, right? You don't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, comprehensive, and convenient, and they will deliver medicine the old-fashioned way. They're located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. Again, that's 615-599-6868 to set up your appointment.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
yesterday I read to you a fabulous editorial written by Deborah Fisher, executive director of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government. It was in the Tennessean, and it really has to do with this weird hearing we had the other day regarding the Covenant School documents. As you know, that has been a lawsuit like no other lawsuit I've ever seen. So I asked Deborah to join me here on the line here today to talk further about that. I want to go back to the beginning so that people know the whole history of this thing. Of course, the shooting occurred on March 27th of 23. And clearly, a little while later, it became clear that the folks who had the documents weren't going to share them, even though there wasn't going to be a prosecution of the shooter, since the shooter was dead. And so they did what you call a FOIA request, and they were turned down. And so then they went to the courts to try to get the FOIA law enforced. It was a weird thing then that happened, in that usually that's a pretty cut and dried process, isn't it?
Yes, usually you file a request and it's or you go to court and try to get it.
And the law actually sort of suggests that the judge ought to do everything that is possible to release such information, correct?
Right. The judge is supposed to interpret the public records law toward fulfilling records to the greatest extent that can happen.
All right. And so then a weird thing happened in that, some people from the church and people from the school and some parents decided that they would try to get into that case and stop it. I guess you would call them interveners. Have you ever seen anything like that happen before in a public information or a FOIA request case?
That was the first to have a third party intervene and start raising other objections to the release of the documents. And I think that's what's caused the case to kind of drag on for so long. Usually it's just the government that has to state the basis for not releasing.
And it's really complicated, the case, and it's dragged on for more than a year now. And the other day, a very strange hearing. As you know, this station has been reporting some stuff from the police documents and from the journals, and the Tennessee Star, which is a litigant in that particular case, we are not, had done that as well. They've written, I think, some 40 stories about the things they've learned from the documents they received because of a leak. And then the judge decided that she's going to have a show cause hearing to try to find out whether or not the Tennessee Star and Michael Patrick Leahy should be found in contempt of court. And again, when they got there, none of that happened. What have you ever seen a hearing like that one in your life?
No, it looked like the judge backtracked after Leahy hired an attorney who kind of explained that it would be, a First Amendment problem to try to prevent the press from publishing something that they gained legally. But she was pretty upset about it. I mean, she immediately had filed, she basically ordered him into court to explain why publishing the information from the leaked documents, made him not subject to contempt or some other sanction. So it was a pretty alarming order for those of us who have observed this kind of thing in the past.
So where does it stand now? Because at the end of the day, she sort of, I think you're right. I think she came in hot initially because I think she got riled up by some people. She comes in hot. She's determined to find out, about whether or not Michael Patrick Leahy should be found in contempt. And then she apparently cooler thoughts prevailed over time, and she decided to turn it into something that was sort of like, I guess I would call it sort of a fishing expedition. Went around the room and asked everybody if they thought there was a problem with what had happened.
That's right. And she asked if it made her current court case moot, if they thought that there was an unlawful interference with the proceeding. They talked about, should we get the leaker in here and different things like that. But at the end of the day, she said she was going to take it under advisement, and she said that she still might appoint an attorney to investigate this leak in the publication, and she still might initiate contempt proceedings. So it's not over yet. The status is we're waiting for her to come back after the hearing this week and say what she's going to do. And so she does seem to be considering it still.
Well, so as someone who is the executive director of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government, your whole organization is based upon the idea that whatever goes on in government ought to be more open and transparent to the public. How do you feel about what has happened?
Well, it was really shocking that someone files a public records lawsuit. The government's supposed to say why they didn't release the record. The judge is supposed to decide if that's true or not, if that's legal or not, and then make a call. You know, I've seen cases in which sometimes the government releases the records before the judge issues the opinion, and the judge doesn't seem upset about it. The judge is like, okay, this is off the table now. So I'm really surprised. In this case, the documents were leaked, and I think what is getting missed in all of this is that for the first time in Nashville, we are getting actual information about what police have found. I mean, we have been in the dark for over a year about some of the events leading up to the shooting, some things about the shooter. And so here we have this truthful information finally coming out, and what the judge is doing is looking to put somebody, you know, in jail over it. Yeah. And so that's pretty disturbing because, and you're right, our organization is about transparency in government, not hiding information from the public.
Well, I'm with you 1,000% on that. I loved your editorial. I thought it hit just the right tone there. So some people looked at what happened in that court hearing and walked away with the sense that the judge is looking to get rid of what she considers a turkey of a case. In other words, there's no way that people are going to be, and you know, somebody's going to be upset no matter how she rules. There's really no way to sort of, split the baby here. That if she releases the documents, then the school is going to be upset, the parents are going to be upset, and the church is going to be upset. If she doesn't release the documents, then you're going to have a bunch of media organizations who are pretty upset and probably take the case up to a higher court, and where they'll probably get a much safer hearing. So there's no way she is going to please everyone. And did you get the sense that she was looking to unload the case by asking if it was now moot?
I did not think that she was trying to unload the case. She has mentioned in court before where she, didn't think that she was going to be able to make the parents and the school completely happy. Or I think she said, I can't protect you from everything. I can't protect you from the media publishing things. But it's an interesting case because she's taken on issues that really have not been exceptions to the public records law before that are being argued. And she's really, honestly, she's maybe breaking new ground here in terms of exceptions to the state's public records law. I didn't get a sense that she was trying to get out of the case, though.
No, I'm glad. Well, that's interesting. I appreciate that perspective. You were in the room. I was not. All right. So how do you think this whole thing, if you had to guess, how do you think this whole thing is going to get resolved?
Well, she said in court that she was about ready to issue a ruling. She said the ruling was more than 60 pages when she got this call from a TV reporter kind of asking whether Leahy's publication of the leaked documents, might be a problem. So she has a ruling that she could issue, and all the attorneys basically urged her to issue her ruling. So I think she will issue her ruling. However, she might want to tackle, she might be, concerned enough about the leak that she might want to tackle it. However, I don't think the attorneys were so concerned about it, even, on both sides. I mean, they were, Metro government maybe was concerned, but leaks happen all the time. That's how information gets out. The Pentagon Papers is a good example, way back when, that most people know about. So I think what did not happen is she didn't stop the publication. You mentioned the number of stories. Well, after the court hearing, even more information started to come out and more information has been published. And the Tennessee Star seems to be publishing something every day from the tranche of documents that they've received.
Yeah, they have a load of stuff. There's no doubt about it. It's far more than we were able to receive here on this program. Do you think that this was a defensive strategy, a legal strategy on the part of the school and the church? Because, I mean, as you know, we're finding out some very interesting things about what apparently the folks at Vandy Psych knew. We're learning a little bit more that apparently she did have ideations of carrying out a school shooting and thought about killing her father and thoughts of suicide. And there is a mandatory requirement to report when that happens, and it's not very clear that happened. And therefore, by dragging this thing out and keeping these documents tied up for the better part of a year, more than a year, they have gone beyond the statute of limitations for civil cases if somebody wanted to bring one. Do you think this was, at its basis, a defensive legal strategy? Or was it really just the parents saying, we think this will be painful and we don't really want to see this stuff released?
I think from the parent standpoint, they just thought it would be painful, and at least that seems to be, what they have said in court, and I don't have any reason to think that it really went beyond that. In terms of Vanderbilt psychiatric and, now these documents that police have gotten on her medical treatment there are notes that she, basically said multiple times she wanted to carry out a school shooting. So the people who would sue would probably be the parents or the school against Vanderbilt psychiatric. So it's hard to see where they might have.
Yeah,
it's hard, but I don't know. I mean, the judge has all the records, so she knows what's in them. Police have all the records, so they know what's in them. And I'm not sure why they would want to keep that under wraps. But I think that's probably the most significant thing that's come out in the records so far.
That's Deborah Fisher, the executive director of the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government, on our program earlier today. I thought it was such a good interview, I wanted to run it again. Look, this case is not over by a long shot, and the Tennessee Star continues to break stories based on the leaks that they've received. I will tell you that the leaks that we received, we pretty much run dry on the stories that are available to us to go forward on that. But the bottom line is there are real questions being raised about what Vandy Psych knew and when they knew it, and when they knew it, did they do anything with it? Those are the questions to be answered, and apparently why this investigation is still ongoing and still going forward. Nashville Metro Police Department says it's still an open case, but we may find out soon, maybe next week, exactly what they plan to do about all those documents that have been tied up in court for more than a year. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. You don't get a diagnosis for just about anything, and there's a pill for everything, but not all diagnoses are accurate and not all pills are good for you. When you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, maybe you should get a second opinion before you make a major decision, and Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair for some diagnosis you got somewhere, go to Eurofix. It might save you a ton of money. It might actually save your vehicle's life. Listen, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair. At Eurofix, you never pay dealer prices. They are located now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest facility in Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price At checkout, you don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.